the dawn's early light, what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
To celebrate Buick's 90th anniversary, we proudly introduce the 90th anniversary LeSabre. LeSabre has a proven reputation for quality and the highest pre-sale value in its class. Now you get all this Buick quality, comfort, and elegance at a special anniversary price. The 90th anniversary Buick LeSabre. Quality its competition just can't hold a candle to.
Not many things are more Chicago than United, but there are a few. United, proud to fly more Chicagoans than any other airline. Come fly Chicago's hometown airline. Come fly the friendly skies.
We've changed our aisles. We've changed our styles. We've changed our lines. We've changed our signs. We've changed displays and we've changed our ways. Yeah, things are changing at Montgomery Ward. Things are changing at Montgomery Ward.
Hello again, everybody. Harry Carey with Steve Stone and Tom Brenneman. We're at Wrigley Field as the Cubs open a series with the Cardinals. The Cardinal lineup is followed. Bernard Gilkey, who's red hot in left field. Ozzie Smith, the shortstop. Greg Jeffries at first. Ray Langford in center. Todd Zeal at third. Mark Whitten in right. Louis Alicia at second base. Tom Pagnazzi, the catcher, and Riel Cormier, Canadian-born left-hander, is on the hill. Pepsi presents the Cubs' defensive alignment, which finds May in left, Sosa in center, and Maldonado in right. Vizcaíno, Sanchez, Sandberg, and Grace around the infield. Veteran Steve Lake behind the plate. And Turk Wendell making his major league debut this afternoon. Wendell at Iowa at 1-5 and lost 4. The umpiring crew, Gary Darling behind the plate, Charlie Williams at first, Joe West at second, and Frank Pulley at third. And in Cincinnati, the Giants, who won a ball game last night, they were beaten in the 9th inning with 2 out. Barry Bonds hit a homer to tie it, and they won it in the 10th. And today they're leading Cincinnati 2-0 at the end of 7 innings.
We could tell you about the statistics of Turk Wendell, but first let's talk about the quirks, the things that you should watch from Wendell. First of all, he jumps over the foul line en route to the mound. Then he draws crosses in the dirt behind the mound. Then he waves to the center fielder at the start of each inning, while chewing black licorice while he's on the mound. He brushes his teeth between innings. Then he squats, usually whenever the catcher is standing. He doesn't eat the day he pitches, and he has an aversion to wearing socks, although you'll see he has them on today. He also is wearing number 13, and the only other Cubs who have believed to have worn 13 were Claude Passeau and Bill Fall. So this is a very unique young man. That's one of the things that he does. Now you see him going into a meditative state, and he's ready to go. And this is one of the true characters of the game, waving now to the center fielder before he gets ready to throw the first pitch.
And after all these things you've talked about, Steve, there's only one important thing left. Can he win in the major leagues? If he can, he might make himself $10 million a year, because the game is looking for characters, and this kid is certainly one. First pitch, right in there, strike call.
He's facing a very good and a very fast offensive ball club.
Bouncing ball, foul. 0-2 on Bernard Gilkey, who's raised his average to .318. 2 homers, 19 RBIs, and during his career he's hit the Cubs pitching to the tune of an average of .375 with 2 homers. Ground ball to Sander. That ought to be easy. So Wendell retires the first man he faces in the major league. Now watch him. He's an interesting character.
You've got to watch Ozzie Smith, because he will lay down a bunt. And Ozzie, from the left side, not quite as good a hitter as he is as a right-hand hitter.
During his career, he's hit the Cub pitching staff for an average of .267. This year, having a good year, hitting .273 with 1 homer, 26 RBI. Ground ball to Sharp. Fast play by Sanchez. Safe. He beats it out. Sanchez took 1 extra step to get in position to throw. And Ozzie Smith, who can still carry the mail, beats it out.
That's the 12th infield single for Ozzie Smith, and the reason is that Sanchez double clutched. He couldn't get control of the baseball, and that's all it took for Ozzie Smith to beat it out. So on the second man that Turk Wendell faces in the major leagues, he loses all hope for a debut no-hitter.
Here's Greg Jeffrey, hitting .311 with 9 homers. Jeffrey is not only a threat with the bat, but with his leg. He's already stolen 17 bases, been thrown out only 4 times.
Jeffries hit only 10 home runs all of last year, and he already has 9.
I hope he don't match his career total of a year ago today. The wind is blowing out, and the ball is carrying, if batting practice is any criterion. Quick throw.
Well, as a member of the Mets, Jeffries always hit the Cubs, as you could tell by the graphic just shown to you. He's a good switch hitter, but he was always a line drive hitter. But perhaps as he's gotten older, he's developed a home run stroke.
There's a strike call. Now, this is exactly even. Turk Wendell is facing Greg Jeffries for the first time, and Jeffries is facing Wendell for the first time. 2 balls and a strike. Big ball.
Now Steve Lake going out to tell Turk Wendell what he did, and you don't have to worry about Ozzie Smith stealing his 10th base. And we'll watch Wendell right here. Goes into the stretch.
He did get
and if you can't fake the first. If you're going to throw to first, then you throw, and if not, you're going to have a balk called. And I think that's just pregame jitters. I think that the Turk is a little nervous. I think Billy thinks that he took the right foot off the mound before he went to first. But
he wanted to, but I think he stumbled a little bit.
It didn't look that way.
2 balls and a strike. There's a drive, well hit, but it's going to be caught. Maldonado has it. And Smith advances after the catch. Jeffries hit that ball right on the button. He always skips over the line. I hope he doesn't slip and fall.
He's one of the few pitchers that I've seen. I think he's wearing high tops.
2 men are on, a runner at third. Here's Ray Langford, the cleanup hitter. And he has hit well against the Cubs during his lifetime. An average of .331 with 5 homers. For this season, he's hitting .282. 1 ball, no strikes. Swung and he missed.
Langford has good power to left center field, and that's something that the Cubs are going to have to contend with, especially if they decide to have Wendell pitch him away. Now, Langford is strong enough to take the ball out in left center as well as right center.
1 ball, 1 strike. Well, you know, some of this stuff isn't complete. It says Wendell doesn't eat the day he pitches. That means he doesn't eat before he pitches. I'm sure before the day is over, he's going to eat. And maybe even drink a little bit. He wears the number 13. Many Major League ball players have defied superstition. Swings and he misses. Langford has a peculiar way of handling that bat. But boy, he's a fine ball player.
He's also fanned 52 times this year, and he will strike out quite a bit, especially if you tie him up inside.
2-2 pitch. That come out. There's his. Look at him jump over the line. One hit, 1 left. No runs. Watch it again. He doesn't step over the line. He leaps over the line. Michael Jordan personified. We go in the bottom of the first, no score.
The official forecast for summer 1993. Light to moderate breezes, cooler temperatures, and gently falling utility bills. Conditions are expected to persist for the next 20 to 45 years. Other than that, everything's quiet. Hunter, the quiet fan.
This is your world, genuine and true, working together in all that you do, and you're giving it your best.
Proud to be your bud.
Budweiser.
Proud to be your bud. Proud to be your bud.
Ooh, yeah.
Proud to be your.
Proud to be your bud.
In 14 cities and 10 countries across the Pacific, they're playing our song. United Airlines. Come fly the airline that's uniting the world. Come fly the friendly skies.
In today's uneasy economy, insurance companies face one financial hazard after another. But one has held a steady course. That company is Aflac.
The true story of one of America's greatest military minds. Gregory Peck, MacArthur. Friday night at 7.
Yeah. Harry Carey back at Wrigley Field. There's Turk Wendell. We're in the middle of the first inning. He's brushing his teeth. Here's the lineup presented by Pepsi. Sanchez leads off for the Cubs. Vizcaíno playing third, hitting second. Sandberg hitting third. Grayson the cleanup. Maldonado fifth. May sixth. Sosa playing center seventh. Lake the catcher, and Wendell the pitcher. And the defensive alignment for the Cardinals: Gilkey, Langford, and Witten. Around the infield, Zeal, Ozzie, Smith, Alicia, and Jeffries with Pagnazi catching and Cormier pitching.
Cormier.
And Sanchez is Behind 0-2.
Cormier 1-0 with a 2.84 lifetime ERA in 5 games against the Cubs.
Bouncing ball. Zeal's got it. Throws the first for the out.
I figure if nothing else goes right for Turk Wendell, he should be able to at least get an endorsement from the American Dental Association. Man brushes his teeth between innings. You got to figure that he's got pretty good teeth.
In his last appearance for Iowa, he went the distance in a 3-1 victory. There's Wilkins talking to Turk again, shaking hands. There's his licorice. He gave me a couple of packages of that licorice down in spring training in Mesa.
How'd you like it?
Very good, very good. Now watch this. There's the leap over the line. Now he goes and he spits the licorice out because he's going to brush his teeth, as you just saw him do. Ball 3 on Vizcaíno. Real Cormier, Canadian-born left-hander. Strike called.
Cormier's only walked 8 men in 64 1/3 innings. So normally, he will not put anybody on first base via the base on balls very often.
Ground smash past Zeal in the left field. Vizcaíno around first. He's going to try for second. The throw. Save. They give him a double. The ball didn't come up for Zeal. And Vizcaíno, with very aggressive base running, turned it into a double.
Todd Zeal is not a good third baseman. In fact, he should have had this one. He put the glove out, and this is a relatively easy play. Goes as a 2-base hit. Probably should have gone as his 14th error of the year. And Zeal has had his problems since making the conversion from catcher to third base. Watch it again. This is called the Olay. Instead of getting in front of the ball, you play it off to the side, and sometimes you fool the official scorer into giving you the base hit.
Here's Sandberg, who drove in 3 runs to spark the Cubs to their victory yesterday. Fastball is low. San Francisco leading at Cincinnati 5-0. Strike called. One ball, one strike. 1 out, 1 on. We're in the bottom of the first, no score. Swings and he fouls it off.
Going into this performance, Cormier had spent exactly half the year in the bullpen and half the year as a starter. This is his 10th start of his 18 appearances. And he has given up 5 home runs in just over 64 innings. So you can take him out of the ballpark as you take a look at Joe Torre looking on, and he's got to be very happy with his ball club. They are 9.5 games in back of Philadelphia and just starting to put things together.
Cormier gets set. Foul outside third base. Today is Floppy Hat Day. The first 10,000 adults age 21 and older got a Cubs floppy hat sponsored by Anheuser-Busch. Hey, those look pretty good. Where are ours, Mandy? 1 out, 1 on. Cormier. Whoa! Down he goes. And the count is evened up.
It was a pretty good knockdown pitch, and if Ryne Sandberg didn't have a wake-up call, he's got one now as that one sails up and in, and Cormier really buzzed him on that one.
Jake Finley with all the Anheuser-Busch people, all the Budweiser people in the WGN box. There's a base hit, a run will score. Here he comes around third base and throw to the plate. Safe! Boy, that play was closer than I thought it would be. Langford has a great arm. And Sandberg, who batted in 3 runs yesterday, drives in one today, his first time up.
This is a good play by Ray Langford. Fortunately, the base hit did not go to right field because Mark Whitten has the gun in this outfield, and Langford makes a very good throw to Pagnazzi. This one just misses getting Vizcaino. You have to carry the mound when you throw from center field. If you don't carry the mound, the throw is not going to get there. And Pagnazzi can't hold on in his first game back. He was knocked over at the plate in an early collision with Eric Young of the Colorado Rockies, and that led to his knee problems. This time not much of a collision, but the Cubs get the first run on the board.
So it's 1-0 Chicago. You know, Sandberg, who missed first month of the season, has now driven in 22 runs. That's only 6 less than Sammy Sosa, who for a while led the club in homers, but now has been replaced by Rick Wilkins, who leads the club with 12. Grace leads the team in RBIs with 47. Line drive in a left field is going to drop for a base hit. And Gibkey uses speed to get to the ball, fielding it on the first hop. And so the runners on at first and second, and Maldonado's up. A run is in, only 1 out.
Last year, Real Cormier was 10-10, and they thought this year that he was going to come in and be a strong part of the rotation. But he got off to a terrible start in spring training, and they moved him to the bullpen. He's just now starting to get his feet on the ground as a starting pitcher. However, the Cubs today not showing him a great deal of respect here in the first inning with 3 straight hits.
Maldonado swings and he fouls it off. Maldonado, 2 homers, 8 RBIs, hitting .179. Mark Grace was presented with the All-State Good Hands Award in a pregame ceremony. A guest of Anheuser-Busch threw out the first pitch. And L.J. Anderson the second pitch. Fouled it off. Alex Vargas from Joliet and Shannon Spencer from Logansport, Indiana are the celebrity bat boy and bat girl today. The Budweiser Blimp will be here this weekend. Boy, a big crowd on hand. This is Thursday, opening the 4-game series. Look out. He got back in time. Sandberg. Maldonado with a count of 0-2. Derek next. The pitcher stay out. Need to hit the ball. Tomorrow is a boy. You got a better one today. I'm happy to report. What was that one yesterday?
Oh, that was it's my sense cigar.
Are you sure somebody's not trying to poison you?
No. This is a good one today, though.
Yeah, it's got a nice whiff to it.
A nice bouquet.
There's no strike. So come out. Maldonado goes down swinging. And that will bring up Derek May. May with 7 homers, 37 RBIs, hitting .297.
Defense usually a strong point for the Cardinals. Ozzie Smith has won 13 Gold Gloves at shortstop. Last year, I think Ozzie made 9 errors all year, but this year he's made 8 already. And with Zeal's 13 errors, they have a very porous left side for the first time in a long time, which is most unusual for the Cardinals.
And this ought to end the inning. Ground ball to Jeffries. So the Cubs score 1 run on 3 hits. Strand 2. At the end of 1, the Cubs lead 1-0.
Here's the real beauty of Rust-Oleum protective coatings. A tough barrier against the elements. Rust-Oleum, the name that means protection.
Chili, fries, coffee.
You better add on some Tums.
On the house.
Except these aren't Tums.
Same thing.
You got them all mixed up.
I told you they're all the same.
Listen to me. Tums has calcium. Is this calcium? No, it uses aluminum and magnesium. So does this. This here, original Rolaids, uses an aluminum salt. The only one of these that helps wipe out heartburn and gives you calcium you need is Tums.
Something my body needs anyway. I like that.
Insist on calcium-rich Tums.
So I'm barbecuing for 30. I got the best steaks, I got the cheap charcoal, and I got burned.
Fire's out!
Don't get burned by cheap charcoal. Buy the best.
Kingsford, the surefire.
The Chris Everett Special. Celebrity interviews from a celebrity's point of view.
Sunday night at 10:30 on Channel 9.
Harry Carey back at Wrigley Field. Here's Todd Zeile to lead it off. Strike is called. A fastball in there. Turk Wendell making his major league debut. He was 5-4 at Iowa. That evens the count. A ball and a strike. Fred Klein of the Wall Street Journal. Here for a couple of innings in the booth. 2 balls and a strike. Outfield, shade towards left. Ball 3 low.
Thomas Hartigan of Thomas Buick on hand, as is Al Andre of Grant Dean Buick and Irv Siegel of Lauren Buick on a very hot day at Wrigley Field.
High, pop, fly. Lake coming back. Has a play, makes the catch. And then bangs into the wall, but he holds on to the ball. 1 away.
This is a tough day for pop-ups because the wind is blowing out rather briskly. But Steve Lake has been around a long time, and he realizes the ball's going to spin back toward the field of play. And he gets a little burn on the bricks over there, but he's none the worse for wear.
There's Mark Whitten, the right fielder, hitting .239. Strike call. A ball and a strike.
Whitten is very strong, and his home runs evenly divided, 4 from each side. And although he didn't do much in the series against the Cubs, he has started to come alive, and he's starting to swing a decent bat. You have to respect his power, especially today.
There's a smash on the ground. Sandberg has it. 2 away. And here's Luis Alicea, the second baseman, hitting .320. No homers, 16 RBIs. Cubs out in front, 1-0. Barry Bonds hit a homer with 2 out last night in the 9th to tie up the ball game, and the Giants won it in the 10th. And there's a drive past Sandberg, a base hit. Alicea, a switch hitter, hit the ball hard into right field. That brings up Tom Pagnazzi.
Alessia is keeping Geronimo Pena on the bench, and they thought Pena had a chance to be one of the better players in the league this year, but Louis Alessia has come on and has hit over 300 most of the season, and he's claimed the everyday second base job.
Here now is Pagnazzi. Over the first, runner back. Hey, he's got a good move over there.
Alessia has only stolen 2 bases this year. He has not been caught yet. Jeffries is the premier base runner on this team these days.
A little bit high and outside. 1 ball, no strikes, 2 out. Pagnazzi. Just reported the club. He played some games in the minor league in rehab, and now he's ready to resume.
You know, Harry, he took over for Eric Pappas, the Chicago area boy who did a great job for the Cardinals in place of Pagnazzi.
Here's a pitch outside. There's another former Cub, although he's originally drafted by the Los Angeles Dodgers, Eric Pappas.
All Pappas did was hit .329 with 10 runs batted in 28 games, spelling Pagnazzi while he was injured.
Ground ball, deep short, throw to second, force play to retire the side. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. We go in the bottom of the second, 1-0 Cubs.
Duty, honor, country.
Brilliant, decisive, controversial.
That man's trying to start World War III, and I'm trying to prevent it.
I will not be the leader of another lost cause.
One of America's greatest military minds, Gregory Peck, MacArthur. Friday night at 7 on Channel 9. The true story of one of America's greatest military minds, Gregory Peck, MacArthur. Friday night at 7.
If you were to build what is perhaps the finest station wagon in the world, you'd make it luxurious, safe, and comfortable. Like the 1993 Buick Roadmaster Estate Wagon, you'd give it a V8 engine and driver airbag. Like Roadmaster, make it spacious enough for big surprises. Roadmaster Estate Wagon. Isn't it good to know that Buick still knows how to build a luxury wagon?
Like Franklin's 13-inch softball gloves, available in leather or synthetic.
And that's just part of the Sport Mart advantage.
Harry Carey and Steve Stone as we go into the bottom of the second with Sammy Sosa leading it off.
Cub fans, what do Jim Lefevre, Ryan Sandberg, Mark Grace, and the rest of the Cub team have in common? Well, they'll all be on board the Cubs Care Cruise Wednesday, July 28th, and you can too. Tickets are $200 per person with proceeds benefiting Cubs Care. For more information, call 312-404-CUBS.
Sammy Sosa hitting .244. 9 homers. 28 RBI. There's a little looper. My drop. Nope, nice play by Mark Whitten. Whitten, a big guy who can run and who can throw. And they say can hit with a lot of power.
Well, they rate Mark Whitten as being an outstanding right fielder. But even more than that, they rate him as having the strongest arm in baseball. And we'll probably get a chance in this series to see him unleash it. But the Cubs aren't going to run too much on Whitten. He also has great range in the outfield, and he certainly helps out Langford in center.
1 out, nobody on. Here's Lake. 1 ball, no strikes. San Francisco beats Cincinnati 6-1. Lake fouls it off. Lake, veteran receiver, hitting .211, 1 homer, 2 RBIs, giving Rick Wilkins a little bit of a rest.
In San Francisco, they always talk about the June swoon. This year, it doesn't look like the Giants are swooning very much.
Swung, and he fouled it back. Well, they're in pretty good shape. 6 games ahead of Atlanta, who practically everybody picked to win the National League West. As a matter of fact, to win the National League pennant. And Philadelphia, 9.5 ahead of the Cardinals. Line drive foul. Our good friends from Pepsi are here. Jerry Maguire, P.J. McCarthy, and Maynard Nehring. I don't see Whitey Pearson around. If P.J. McCarthy's here, Terry Pearson cannot be too far behind. Here's the pitch foul. 1 out, nobody on, 1-0 in favor of the Cubs.
There you see the career average of Steve Lake against one of his former teams, the St. Louis Cardinals. Of course, if Lake hit well against all of his former teams, he'd be an all-star.
There's a pitch a little bit inside. Now, you've seen and heard about all the weird things that Turk Wendell does. Let me tell you where he went to college. I'll bet you never heard of it. The pitch, swung a little tap, easy out. Cormier throws Lake out. And here's Turk Wendell. He went to Quinnipiac College in Connecticut. Quinnipiac is spelled Quinnipiac. Quinnipiac College in Connecticut. And that fits his entire personality.
Well, he figured, Harry, that he would swing at the first pitch that he saw in the major leagues just in case he might hit the ball out of the ballpark and tie an all-time major league record. I think he's going to be swinging at most everything. He's right up on the plate. At least he looks like a hitter.
He swings again, fouls it into the stands on the first base side. I tell you, this young guy has a... That's all licorice, friends. That's not tobacco. Whoop. Almost hit him.
Well, just a welcome to the major leagues by Real Cormier, who's done that a couple of times. One might be forthcoming to the Redbirds next inning.
Sung, and he struck him out. 1, 2, 3. At the end of 2, the Cubs lead 1-0.
A participating advertiser in Cubs baseball is Montgomery Ward, where things are really changing.
It's amazing how it grew and grew. That little company you started in your garage. And now you've got an automobile whose drive for quality matches your own. The Buick Park Avenue Ultra. With its supercharged engine, the Park Avenue Ultra is proof you still take pride in what comes out of your garage.
You can feel it deep inside. Dedication and a real sense of pride. And you're giving it your best. Proud to be your bud. Budweiser. Proud to be your bud.
The insurance business can be a hazardous place, an uneasy economy, a jagged stock market, failed real estate, junk bonds. One company protects its policyholders by shunning risky investments, offering solid supplemental insurance coverage, combining prudent judgment with dedicated service. That company is Aflac. Aflac, insuring over 35 million people worldwide.
Here's a great idea. Aha! Charles and Buddy together again.
It's like having a pet monkey.
Charles in Charge. Today at 4:30 on Channel 9.
Harry Carey back at Wrigley Field as we go into the top of the third. Let's pause here for station identification.
This is WGN-TV Chicago, America's #1 sports station.
You know, I mentioned before that Fred Klein of the Wall Street Journal was here with us for a while. And I'm going to try him on the Aflac question. Steve says he guessed it right away, even before he had seen the question. What did I do? Check him first with you?
No, I just saw the question, and I said, oh, I can figure this one out.
Here's Cormier drilling a single to left to open a third. Here's the Aflac trivia question. Which is the oldest player with the most stolen bases in one season? Well, Davy Lopes.
Yeah, but I got it without the A, B, C, and D. See, I didn't know they were giving you a multiple choice here.
I was going to ask Fred here, but that's so easy. Well, we'll see whether that's right or wrong, though. Cormier led off with a base hit. Here's a high pop foul. And Bernard Gilkey's up at the plate, and now we'll find out about Turk Wendell. He went through the batting order once. Now they've seen him. Now they've known what he throws. Now they're batting against him the second time. Gilkey fouls off the first pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Second time, the hitters have already gauged the velocity that a pitcher has. They've seen his breaking ball. They've seen his changeup or forkball, whatever he's using. And now it's up to the pitcher to make some good pitches, to move the ball in and out, and to keep changing speeds. And Turk Wendell's going to get a lot of help from Steve Lake.
There's a line drive in the right field, going to be caught. Candy Maldonado has it.
Kids, don't miss your chance to learn baseball from Cub players Derek May, Sammy Sosa, Chuck McElroy, and a host of other Cub players and coaches at the 2nd Annual All-Star Kids Clinic. Plus, meet Mickey Mouse and Aladdin and Jasmine from the movie Aladdin, direct from Disney World in Florida. Tickets are just $10, so for more information, call 312-404-CUBS.
Ozzie Smith, a base hit on the first pitch. Here goes a runner. The pitch is on his way to third. The throw cut off. So the Cardinal fans who are in attendance have something to cheer about. And now Greg Jeffries, who hit the ball hard but out his first time up.
Ozzie doesn't waste time. He just drives it through the right side. And the aging veteran is now 2 for 2. Ozzie signed a contract that will pretty much assure that he will end his career in a St. Louis Cardinal uniform. And he's got to be one of the most popular players in the history of the franchise, along with Stan Musial, of course.
There's a pitch. Breaking ball for a strike. Ozzie Smith, the experienced hitter that he is, with a runner at first, Grace, of course, had to hold him on. And he pulled the ball just by Grace in the right field. There's a pitch a little bit low.
Despite all the speed that Jeffries has, and bear in mind he's stolen 17 bases out of 21 attempts, he has grounded into 5 double plays. And so you can turn a pair, and Wendell would like to throw the ground ball here, but Jeffries is swinging a hot bat these days.
The reason for that is, I'm sure, he hits the ball so sharply. If it happens to be to an infielder, there's a chance to get the double play in spite of his speed. 2 balls and the strike. He almost swung at that one. Jeffries, a big 25 on the back of his uniform.
The Wrigley Field infield is a little faster these days as the ground crew has cut the grass down somewhat. They decided that the Cub defense was pretty good. They wanted to give an advantage to the hitters here, and so you're seeing a lot of ground balls scoot through the infield that in past years would have been sucked up and caught.
There's a drive into left field. The game is tied. And in this inning already, 3 hits as Jeffries drives in his 36th run of the year.
This one through the infield by Vizcaino. This is a slider that didn't do much. It stayed out over the plate, and Jeffries took it the opposite way. And the game is tied at 1. And the Cardinals doing what they do best, singling you to death. This is not a powerful ball club. It's a team that's built on speed, defense, and a lot of base hits. And they've got 5 singles so far.
Well, they have 75 doubles, 14 triples, and a total of only 33 home runs. Out of a total of 552 hits. So that adds up to a bunch of singles. Langford. A little bit outside. A fork ball. All the Cardinal hits today have been singles. Real Cormier started the inning with a base hit. 1 ball, no strikes. Sean Bosky will pitch tomorrow. Bouncing ball, foul.
Langford was a leadoff hitter. And then he kind of grew out of the position. First of all, he strikes out well over 100 times every year. And for a leadoff hitter, that's not a real good stat. He got a little stronger. He became an RBI man. They decided to move him down in the lineup where he could drive in some runs. And Langford last year fanned 147 times but drove in 86 runs.
He started a swing, held up, and the strike is called anyway. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Wendell had some zip to that one over the inside corner. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Runners first and second. The pitch. He fouled it back. 1 out, 1 in. Game tied up 1-1.
Now last time, Steve Lake called a changeup away, and that's how he fanned Langford in the first inning. He tried to set him up with a fastball in here, and a good changeup away, either that or a forkball low and away, is going to get Langford again. So let's watch what Lake does and see where Turk throws it.
You better be careful. This guy's a good hitter. Ray Langford, hitting .282 this year. And Steve Lake and Turk Wendell talking things over.
Well, it usually happens with a veteran catcher and a rookie pitcher. When the pitcher shakes off a catcher, the catcher will go and say, well, I've had a few more years in this league than you, son. Why don't you throw what I call, and maybe we'll get out of this inning.
A little bit outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. On deck, Todd Zeal. He fouls him. He's still alive. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The Giants beat the Reds today, as they did last night. Struck him out. Swinging for the second time. Ray Langford goes down swinging.
That was a fastball tailing away from Langford, and Wendell painted the outside corner. Pretty good pitch, good location, and that's retiring a tough hitter.
So Todd Zeal is up there now, hitting .239, 1 homer, 26 RBIs. There's a curveball, a strike call. Well, how about the answer to the to the Aflac trivia question? 0-1 the count. Bouncing ball ought to be easy. It is. Force down. at second base. So 1 run, 3 hits, no errors, 2 left. We go in the bottom of the third, all tied up at 1.
To celebrate Buick's 90th anniversary, we proudly introduce the 90th anniversary LeSabre. LeSabre has a proven reputation for quality and the highest pre-sale value in its class. Now you get all this Buick quality, comfort, and elegance at a special anniversary price. The 90th anniversary Buick LeSabre. Quality its competition just can't hold a candle to.
Come on, let's get a cold one.
Our total attendance for today's game.
Oh, would you look at this beer line? I'm gonna go back.
What? Foul ball? No, I'm not. Foul ball!
Foul ball?
Foul ball!
Out the way!
I got it!
If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down,
Make it 2 Bud Lights, please.
make it a Bud Light.
Hey, you got another ball?
You can always spot a neighborhood with pride. Maybe it's a little cleaner, a little nicer place to be. All because somebody cared enough to make it that way. Like your neighborhood 76 station. Here, every gasoline is specially formulated to keep your engine clean and running smooth. We're rather proud of that. 76. Go with the spirit.
Zillions of bucks, 4 crazy killers, 1 dangerous romance into the night.
Tonight at 11:30 on Channel 9.
The Chris Everett Special. Celebrity interviews from a celebrity's point of view.
Sunday night at 10:30 on Channel 9.
Harry Carey with Steve Stone and Tom Brenneman. Here's the answer to the Aflac trivia question. What's the answer? Oh, Davy Lowe.
Oh, Arnie tried to get us again, but it was Davy Lopes. At the age of 39, he stole 47 bases, and that's not too bad. In fact, that's not too bad at any age.
Here now is Sanchez. Swings a high fly ball, Witten under it. Easy out on the first pitch. Sanchez flies to Witten. Vizcaíno, who doubled in the first and scored the only run on a base hit by Ryan Sandberg.
WGN crew would like to pass along happy birthday greetings to Marty Leonard.
1 out, nobody on. Cormier delivered. A little bit low. Boy, it's amazing. Vizcaíno hitting .344 going into the ballgame today. He's 6th among the National League hitters. Grace is 9th with his .329 mark. There's a fly ball out of play. Wilkins is listed now with the home run hitter. Matt Williams and Barry Bonds are tied with 19. Bobby Bonilla with 16. Dalton and McGriff with 15. Justice again with 14. Piazza of the Dodgers. And Rick Wilkins of the Cubs tied with 12. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Real Cormier, that's a beautiful name. There's a high fly ball, easy out. Langford in center. 2 gone.
Sandberg has got a good shot at hitting a home run today, and the reason I say that is, although he doesn't have the home run stroke yet, and we all know how much he missed the beginning of the season, it looks to me like he's starting to hit his base hits a little harder. When you hit line drives, it's just a slight adjustment from the time when you're hitting line drives to the time you're hitting home runs. So if not today, watch for him to start hitting home runs not too distant future. He's only got 4, but that's going to rise.
Well, yeah, but that's 4 in only 41 games.
Well, that pencils out really to 16, Harry, and he's going to do more than that this year.
1 ball, no strikes. Pitch a little bit low and outside. Ball 2. What I like about him, he's hitting the ball everywhere. Left field line, right field line, and you can never overlook his running speed. He's gotten, I'll bet you, at least 10 infield hits. Would have been routine outs with anybody else running.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's given the 3-0 green light here.
There's a strike call. 3 balls and a strike. I guess the greatest game in his career was played against the Cardinals on a Saturday like this. It was an NBC game and we were preempted. Ball 4. Sandberg. Bruce Sutter was in his prime pitching for the Cardinals. And Sandberg hit 2 home runs, each one off Bruce Sutter to tie up the ball game. One when it looked like as if they were beaten in the bottom of the 9th. And the other one when it looked like they were beaten in the bottom of the 11th. Twice he tied the game with home runs off Bruce Sutter, and not too many people did that in those days. The Cubs eventually won the game on a single by infielder Davey Owens, whose older brother or younger brother Spike is still playing, now with the Yankees. Base hit. Watch Sandberg around second. Watch this. Oh, now he's going to stop. Boy, he got the stop signal from Chuck Cartier. Rhino was ready to go and try for third, but Cartier gave him the stop when Whitten picked the ball up cleanly.
Well, we told you the arm of Mark Whitten, and there's no doubt that the Cubs are not going to take liberties with him. He comes up firing, and he throws to second. Sandberg back, and no play at second, but you don't take the extra base on Whitten because he will gun you down in a hurry.
Well, a single by Grace in the first, a single by Grace in the third has given Maldonado 2 different chances to come through. He struck out in the first, and he fouls the first pitch here in the third. It's just hard to believe that Maldonado can fall back that far. In 1 year, he hit over 20 homers for the world champion Toronto Blue Jays last year. There's a long drive going to be caught in center field. And that retires the side. So, 2 men are left on base, 1 hit, no run. Tom will be coming along in a moment while I go over to join Ron Sando. The score at the end of 3, all tied up at 1.
Basics shouldn't be boring. Clothes should be fun. Like my collection at Montgomery Ward. See? Things are changing. Too bad you can't wear them all at once.
There are a lot of reasons people walk into my True Value store. Sometimes it's convenience. We're right in the neighborhood. Sometimes they want advice, and sometimes they're bargain hunting, looking for true values.
Like the June bargain of the month, a Tatung 10-inch box fan. It's lightweight and portable, with a heavy-duty motor and 3 powerful speeds to beat the heat. And in June, this Tatung fan is just $8.77 while quantities last.
You know, the name says it all. True Value.
Done that. Did that. Been there. Tried that. Done it. Did it. Done it. Doing it tomorrow. Whoa! Never did it. You've never done nothing till you do Diet Do. Did it. Done it. Liked it. Loved it.
true story of one of America's greatest military minds. Gregory Peck, MacArthur. Friday night at 7.
A brave reporter, a political murder, a deadly cover-up. Andy Garcia, Amy Irving, and Robert Duvall, a show of force.
Tonight at 7 on Channel 9.
Hi again, everybody. Back with our producer-director, Arnie Harris, and Steve Stone. Tom Brenneman at Wrigley Field in Chicago. A 1-1 game in the opener of this 4-game series. Turk Wendell making his major league debut. Second time through the order. Wasn't easy. Finally gave up a run.
So far, he's thrown the ball very impressively. In fact, last inning, he got out of a tough jam. And Tommy, you'd have to say that he's got pretty good stuff so far.
Who you got here with you today?
Well, that's the Troll Jr. That's Stubby Jr. You notice he has the Cub hair for the series.
It's an offspring.
It's an offspring,
right,
yes.
Right. Well, Father's Day's coming up, so he can join Stubby on Sunday right here at Wrigley Field. Mark Whitten, a 2-0 count. And he hits it down the left field line, but it slices foul and out of play. 2-1 to Whitten. This guy got off to a fast start. And now the National League pitchers have found out ways to retire him. And now, as we've talked about many times, a game of adjustments. He's going to have to adjust to the way they pitch him. Vizcaíno backhands and throws him out to begin the Cardinal 4th inning.
This would be a shot in the arm for the Cub pitching staff if Turk Wendell could put together a couple of good efforts. Now he's going to be given every opportunity to do just that. And let's hope that he can continue throwing good ball against the Cardinals, because St. Louis is a tough team for a right-hand pitcher. They've got a lot of speed, a lot of good left-handed bats, although they don't have a lot of power. You really don't need it on a day like today, Tommy, because long fly balls will go out of the park.
Haven't had a homer yet here today, but both pitchers have done a good job keeping the pitches down. 1-1 to Alicea. He shares time at second base with Geronimo Pena. Very hot day, huge crowd. Of course, there always is when these two teams get together. 2-1 to Alicea, who singled to right field his first time up.
A huge crowd, as you see, and I had an opportunity to talk with third base coach Bucky Dent about Luis Alicea, and he says that this man is swinging the bat exceptionally well.
He hammers this one to deep right field. Racing back Maldonado. It's off the wall. Alicea into second base with a stand-up one-out double.
A couple of years ago, the Cardinals thought that Alicea was going to be their everyday second baseman, and he had an extended trial there. But he couldn't do it then, and Jose Oquendo was given the job at second and filled in very well. Well, then it was the time for Geronimo Pena to take over second base. But Alicea now is staking his claim to that position, and he's hitting everything in sight.
So in this 1-1 game, Alicea representing the go-ahead run at second base with only one out. Tom Pagnozzi, the 8th place hitter with first base open, settles in. He left a man on in the second inning when he bounced into a fielder's choice.
He spent 2 weeks playing at AAA Louisville. Did hit a home run in his last game down there, and he says that his legs are ready to go. So it's been a frustrating season for him, one of the finest catchers in the league.
And a broken bat floater down the line. Rounding third is Alicea. He'll score easily. And the broken bat base hit for Pagnozzi in this his first game off the DL has given the Cardinals a 2-1 lead, their first lead of the game.
And this is how the Cardinals do it against you. They just peck away and peck away. This is a good slider low and away, just over the outstretched glove of Mark Grace. The 8th run batted in by Pagnozzi. The Cardinals don't dazzle you with their long ball ability, but they have great speed and a lot of good singles hitters. And now in a bunt situation, Cormier up.
It's laid down a couple on the year, and this one a beauty up the first base line. Wendell to the covering Sandberg, and Pagnozzi goes to second. 2 away in the inning. Cubs a 1-0 lead in the first on a double by Vizcaíno. He scored on a single by Sandberg, but the Cardinals single runs in each of the last 2 innings.
And that base hit by Pagnozzi, the first by a right-hander against Wendell today. And now Turk has got to retire a very tough Bernard Gilkey to get out of the inning and keep this 1-run deficit.
Gilkey has bounced to Sandberg and line to Maldonado on right. Good player.
Well, Gilkey was another man that was odd man out with the Pedro Guerrero left field experiment last year that went awry. Guerrero couldn't play out there, and Gilkey got a chance and hasn't stopped hitting yet.
Well, you know, Gilkey did not win a friend in manager Joe Torre the way he kind of sulked last season, unhappy about his playing time. But Torre will tell you he came back this year a different man. I'll do whatever it takes for the team to win. If I play every day, great. If I don't, I'll be ready off the bench.
Well, he still hit .302 last year in 131 games, so he got his at-bats. And I think he felt frustrated because he could hit. There was no doubt about that. But they had to find a place for Guerrero. That place they thought was left field, but that didn't last very long.
No. Pagnazzi at second base, 2 are out. Cardinals had pushed across a run here in the 4th inning to take a 2-1 lead. Now it's 3 balls and a strike with Ozzie waiting on deck.
Over half the team products of the St. Louis farm system. Gilkey, Langford, Zeal, Alicea, Pagnazzi, Cormier all came up through the St. Louis system, which over the years has been very productive. And that's how you perpetuate good teams.
Little dribbler foul, and the count will go full now to Bernard Gilkey.
In fact, the system is such a good one that when Bill Giles, the owner of Philadelphia, was looking for a new general manager, one of the first places he looked was St. Louis and plucked Lee Thomas out of that system and gave him an opportunity to assemble a team in Philadelphia. And all he's going to do is probably be the executive of the year this year.
Ball 4 to Gilkey, so Wendell has issued his first pass of the day, and the Cardinals continue here in the 4th inning with 2 on and 2 men out. And Ozzie Smith coming up. But Billy Connors is going to come out for a visit first.
So far 60 pitches for Turk Wendell on a very hot, very humid afternoon here in Chicago as Billy Connors comes out. He was having a good time with first base coach Jack Hubbard, who was one of the real underrated first base coaches in the major leagues. The Cardinals still trying to figure out just exactly what he does at first base.
I was getting ready to say underrated by whose standards?
But Jack is a quality guy. We saw him scouting the last couple of years. He's got a chance to go down on the field under Joe Torre. Let's see if Billy jumps over the line, because if he does, the fans on the third base side could go down a couple of feet.
Well, the structure of this stadium would certainly be very much in jeopardy. Billy knows we're just kidding him. We do all the time. And there's a strike to Ozzie Smith.
Well, in fact, Jack Hubbard, as well as Bucky Dent, wondering how they got belt loops in those spandex pants that Billy's wearing with his Cub uniform.
0-1 delivery. And Smith fouls it back. He's 2 out of 2 today. An infield single was left at third in the 1st inning. He singled to right, left at second in the 3rd. Boy, what a player he has been since coming from San Diego and the Gary Templeton trade to St. Louis.
At the time, St. Louis thought they got the better of the deal because Templeton was a much better hitter. But Ozzie has made himself a very good hitter by putting on 15 pounds of muscle over the years.
Into left center field. This baby will split the gap. Pagnazzi will score. Gilkey will easily score. And in with a 2-run double is Ozzie Smith. And he has given St. Louis a 4-1 lead. And it came on an 0-2 pitch.
Smith now has 28 runs driven in this year, which is a big total for a number 2 hitter. And that's a fastball out over the plate. Just too hittable on 0-2. So Turk Wendell finding that life in the major leagues is not all that easy, especially when you make 0-2 mistakes. And the left-handers really taking advantage of him so far.
That brings up Greg Jeffries, as Chuck McElroy will now begin to get loose in the Cub bullpen. Jeffries knocked in a run with a single to left field in the 3rd inning. On a hot day, Bernard trying to catch his breath down there. He just raced all the way in from first base.
Well, these guys from St. Louis are used to days like this. Except down there you have the artificial surface and the heat just radiates off it, so it's even warmer. And this is as hot a day as we've had this year, and it's getting a whole lot hotter for Turk Wendell.
4 runs and 8 hits against Wendell. And there's ball 4 to Jeffries. Well, let's see if they're going to stick with a young right-hander. It looks as though they will.
Well, the one thing that Turk has done today is fan Langford twice. And he's got to get him again here to keep this deficit at 3 runs. Now, we figured it would be a high-scoring affair because of the wind blowing out. But the Cardinals, characteristically, have not done it with the long ball. They've done it with mostly singles and a couple of doubles. And I think that Steve Lake is going out perhaps on a signal from Jim Lefevre to give Chuck McElroy a chance to throw a few more pitches in that bullpen.
Yeah, you know, you're really flirting with trouble here if you don't bring in McElroy. Langford being a left-handed hitter, and you mentioned that Turk has struck him out twice. But you don't get Langford more than likely a third time.
Gary Darling coming out. He wants to break up the conference on the mound. Jim Lefevre staying put, at least for the moment. He's going to allow him to pitch to Ray Langford. And if you don't keep the ball in the ballpark here, things will get a little tough for the Cub offense.
Well,
but here comes Jim Lefevre now, and that's going to be it for Wendell.
So Turk in this his major league debut will leave trailing 4-1. Ozzie Smith at second, Greg Jeffries at first. 2 men are out, and McElroy will enter. We're going to take a break in the action, and we'll be back with more in just a moment.
I was born to make you happy. I think you're just my style. What would I do if I didn't have you? Love to see you smile. I love to see you smile.
Puerto Rico, a sizzling hotbed of corruption and cover-up.
Who gave the order to fire?
Now one brave reporter risks everything.
That's it.
You're firing me?
No, I'm protecting you.
To break through a labyrinth of lies and uncover the dangerous truth.
You're dead.
Amy Irving, Robert Duvall, Lou Diamond Phillips, and Andy Garcia. Based on a true story. A show of force.
Tonight at 7 on Channel 9.
Well, Turk Wendell, a very short major league debut, 3 2/3, and he kept up his routine by leaping over the third base stripe, one of his superstitions. But it's a 4-1 ball game. The Cardinals in front.
Well, Turk Wendell doesn't look too upset about this. It's not a cause for celebration when you leave a game in the 4th inning, but he gave it his best shot for a couple innings. One time through the order, he looked pretty tough. And what he's going to learn, Tom, is he's going to have to change speeds a little bit more. He threw mostly between 85 and 87 today. Didn't vary too much. And major league hitters, if you don't have a 95-mile-an-hour fastball, have got to see something off speed. And I think Turk is going to learn a little bit more about that as soon as he gets a few more innings under his belt. So we take a look at Chuck McElroy, who comes in with Cardinals at first and second. 2 outs here in the 4th inning. 4 runs already in. And Chuck, 2-2. The ERA, 4.68, on for the 23rd time. And he's facing Ray Langford. There's his career numbers against St. Louis. Fairly impressive. Good ERA of 3.45.
Langford has struck out twice. He has Ozzie Smith at second base. Greg Jeffries down at first. Grace playing behind him over there. Strike 1 on the outer edge. McElroy has certainly been a real enigma for manager Jim Lefevre. You watch him one game and fastball clocked high 80s, low 90s with very good stuff and a pretty nasty breaking ball, particularly to left-handers. Then other days he comes in there and just can't get anybody out. It's hard to figure.
That's usually the inconsistency of youth, but Chuck has been around for a while. It's tough to give up on a left-hander with a kind of arm that Chuck McElroy has, because you don't find many lefties with a 90-91 mile-an-hour fastball. So the Cubs are going to stay with him, try to keep him in the middle of that bullpen, and hope they can get some good innings out of him as a setup man.
Into center field, a base hit. Rounding third and coming in is Ozzie Smith. And the base hit by Langford is 28th run batted in, and the Cardinals are laying it on. They have now a 5-1 lead here in the 4th inning.
This one right back through the middle as McElroy gets a little too much of the plate with that slider, and Langford takes it right back up the middle. Ozzie scores easily. That leaves runners still at first and second, and the Cubs are not out of the 4th of yet.
Todd Zeile, the 9th man to bat here in the inning, and he looks at a strike. Zeile is fouled out to the catcher and bounced into a fielder's choice with 2 aboard to end the 3rd inning. Jeffries at second base in the RBI single. Langford over at first. Well, a hot summer day here in Chicago. Game time temperature at 86 degrees. Summertime is here, boys. Down the right field line. Maldonado is there, and the inning is over. But the Cardinals a 4 spot in the 4th inning on 4 hits, leaving 2. 5-1 St. Louis after 3.5.
At the first tickly itch of athlete's foot, Desonex, do not stall. Desonex intercepts athlete's foot before it turns ugly, killing those grungy fungi before they get cracking and burning. There's a can at the store with your salvation in it. Come get it, or else don't blame Desonex. And for jock itch, Cruex is the #1 cure. Cruex kills jock itch fungus.
Each year, 500,000 people have strokes, but it doesn't have to mean the end of their lives or their lifestyles. Find out the warning signs of stroke from your American Heart Association. It could help you get back into the swing of things.
Matchlight charcoal has just the right amount of lighter fluid. Already added. That's why there's only one match from Matchlight. Matchlight from Kingsford. For as long as anyone can remember, the Roadmaster name has graced only automobiles of great strength and security. Buick Roadmaster for 1993 is no exception. Consider, for example, the protection of Roadmaster's full perimeter frame. Its V8 power, anti-lock brakes, and driver airbag. Buick Roadmaster, perhaps the world's best value in a traditional luxury car.
If you like baseball cards, you'll love Card Baseball, the new baseball board game that brings your cards to life. You'll use the stats from your favorite cards. It's fun, easy to play, and perfect for anyone 8 years and up.
Available at participating Osco stores.
Well, we head for the bottom half of the 4th inning, and the Cardinals breaking that 1-1 tie with a 4 spot in the top of this inning. So now the Cubs must play catch-up against the left-hander Real Cormier, who certainly has settled down after allowing the run on 3 hits in the Cubs' first inning. Derek May ended the first with 2 aboard on a ground out to first. Lines it to right. It'll drop in front of Witten, a base hit.
Derek May has shown that when he's hitting the ball, he can hit right-handers or left-handers. Of late, he's been in somewhat of a slump, although 37 runs driven in at this point of the season is still a pretty good number. And he just got a ringing base hit against Cormier, so a good way to start the 4th inning as the Cubs try to claw their way back into this one.
Sammy Sosa will now be the batter. Sammy getting a start today in center field. Willie Wilson still bothered with a knee problem after being struck by a pitch in San Francisco over the weekend. And he hammers this one to deep left center. Forget about it. Sammy reaching double digits with his 10th home run. And now has knocked in 30. And it's a 5-3 St. Louis lead.
It's been a long time since Sammy Sosa's hit one out. May 29th against Montreal, his 9th home run, so he had a long wait for number 10. But Montgomery Ward donates $200 to Cubs Care for the blast off the bat of Sammy Sosa. And all Ray Langford could do was look up. That was a blast, and no doubt it was gone when it left the bat.
2 batters, 2 runs. Steve Lake bounces one backhanded nicely by Zeal. Throw in the dirt, and a nifty pickup over there by Greg Jeffries.
Let's take a look at the long ball, and it's a fastball out over the plate, and Sammy just extends, and Langford gives up and waves bye-bye, and that one is gone in a hurry. Good play by Jeffries at first base. You take a look at a very happy Sammy Sosa.
Well, we have a group from the Illinois Broadcasters Association. Guest of John Vitanovic from WGN today. Sure they're enjoying themselves as Chuck McElroy will bat, and he swings and misses for strike 1. McElroy on in relief of Turk Wendell, who allowed all 5 runs, and all 5 were earned runs in 3 2/3 innings in this his major league debut. Stoney, you staying nice and cool over there?
Oh, it's a beautiful day today.
Over the mound, Ozzie throws over to first and got him. How many times he done that in his career? Couple 1,000.
Ozzie does it now by positioning as opposed to a strong arm. He was playing McElroy up the middle, and he just comes across and gets the job done. So with Cormier, you're going to have to hit your way on. One of the reasons is that he's got about the best control in the league, or close to it. Only teammate Bob Tewksbury and Jimmy Key from the New York Yankees better in all of baseball. 1.1 walks per 9 innings. He's had that walk already to Ryan Sandberg. But how about Tewksbury? 0.6 walks per 9 innings. They've got 3 guys, Tom, that don't have double-digit walks yet, and all over 60 innings pitched.
Lined right at the second baseman, Luis Alisei, and that'll do it. 2 runs, 2 hits. Sosa plays long ball, and it's a 2-run Cub deficit at the end of 4.
A participating advertiser in Cubs baseball is Buick and your local Buick dealers. Remember Buick, the new symbol for quality in America.
Bud Light, please.
Tonight's ladies' night, and there's a special on Bud Light.
If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light.
Oh no, it's Ted from accounting.
If you're looking for a vacation package to Hawaii, across the Pacific, across the Atlantic, or anywhere throughout the Americas, and you want the confidence of the friendly skies, just follow these simple directions. Call your travel agent or call United Vacations. 1-800-328-6877.
I'm Jim Martindale, here to tell you about the one and only Garden Weasel. This 5-in-1 tool makes gardening fun and easy. The 3 rotary action blades mesh with the topsoil, uprooting young weeds and creating a beneficial mulch. Remove the center blade for hard-to-reach areas. The Weasel is virtually self-cleaning. There's only one Garden Weasel, and it's backed by a 100% lifetime guarantee.
The Garden Weasel at Hooks Handy Andy Sears Hardware and Courtesy Home Center. A great gift for people who garden.
The true story of one of America's greatest military minds. Gregory Peck, MacArthur. Friday night at 7.
Tom Brenneman back with Steve Stone at Wrigley Field in Chicago. It is a 5-3 St. Louis lead at the end of 4. I saw a few youngsters before the ball game today, Stoney, getting all geared up for that Cubs clinic taking place here on Sunday. It's always a great affair. As Witten hits one of the hole at short. Sanchez, a long throw on the money to get him in time. They were wondering if you were going to be part of that clinic to pass along some of your pearls of wisdom as a former right-hander and Cy Young Award winner.
All the youngsters are interested in is men in uniform, Tommy, and although I have my postman's uniform at home, that's not the uniform the folks are looking for.
Well, I'm sure Yosh could fix you up down there in the Cub clubhouse with a Cub uniform. Who knows, your jersey or uniform might still be around from back in the late 60s.
Well, as many numbers as I had while playing with the Cubs, you never know.
Sanchez will not get to this one. And even if he had, he would not have thrown out Alicea, who has collected 3 hits and 3 at-bats. They left Alicea in there to bat for a change against a left-hander. Generally, Geronimo Pena will be in those spots.
When Alicea has had an opportunity in 16 at-bats, he's collected 7 hits, which is well over 400. So it's not like he can't swing the bat against the lefties.
Run him out there every day. That Pena got off to a just remarkable start through the first 3 weeks of the season, but has really cooled off, particularly when given the chance to bat against right-handed pitching.
Well, Alicea got hurt, and Pena had to play every day, and he's only hitting 144 against the right-hand pitchers in the league, so that's one of the reasons why Alicea getting a chance to play some more.
Into short left field, Derek May racing in, and he's not going to get it. On to second goes Alicea. Pagnazzi his second hit, and the Cardinals leading 5-3 have 2 on with only 1 out.
I think Jack Hubbard telling Tom Pagnazzi that he'd like to read that Sporting News that he's hitting with when he gets done with it. He's got 2 hits, neither of which you could hear from up here in the booth, but he couldn't have thrown them in better spots. The first one just over the glove of Mark Grace, and this one just in front of Derek May and just in back of Ray Sanchez. So the result is a couple of Cardinals on once again as they're trying to single the Cubs to death.
Yeah, the Cardinals only have 2 doubles. They have 9 singles. They'll do that to you, though. That's been their track record for the last number of years. They love utilizing the speed based around their ballpark.
Well, when they had Jack Clark in the middle, Tom, I used to describe it as the beast among the fleas. They had one guy in the middle who could really hit it hard, and the rest of the guys just ran all day. And that's pretty much what they're like now without the beast.
Bunted foul by Cormier, who has singled, scored, and laid down a sacrifice bunt. But, you know, they're not the running team this year, Stoney. They've been in years past. When Greg Jeffries is your team leader, and he's got good speed, but not blazing speed, gives you a pretty good indication that they're not back to the Cardinals of the 80s with the guys like Coleman and McGee and even Pendleton back then. Another perfect bunt by Cormier. And he advances the runners. Alicea to third and Tom Pagnazzi up the trail to second base. 2 men are out.
Cormier with his 4th sacrifice of the year, his 2nd of the day. And the Cardinals, knowing that they're not going to hit a lot of home runs, have always been a very good executing team. And they get it through their system, Tom. It's led by a man by the name of George Kissel. And if you talk to people around baseball who have come through the Cardinal system at all, they will still tell you they learned their baseball from George Kissel. He goes down, talks to all the youngsters in their system, and he really makes a difference. By the time Cardinal farmhands get to the major leagues, and they've brought a lot of them to the major leagues in the last 15 years, George Kissel has taught them how to play baseball, and it goes not only with George, but the entire staff in the minor leagues. They do a very good job of educating young players. And in this day and age, where players get to the major leagues a little more quickly than in years past because of the scarcity of farm clubs, I think that many guys get to the major leagues without a strong background in baseball fundamentals. That's why you see some of the play in the majors that just you kind of shake your head about. But usually not with the Cardinals. They're well schooled.
McElroy on the ropes. Bases loaded after the intentional walk to Gilkey. Gilkey at first. Pagnazzi at second. Alicea at third. And Ozzie is 3 for 3 with a run scored and 2 batted in. Strike 1. Ozzie turning around about right-handed for the first time today. He had a 2-run double 1 inning ago.
And Ozzie, a little better hitter from the right side. He's got a little more power in his bat as a right-hand hitter. And Derek May, respecting that, is playing a little deeper than you'd expect in left field. But Smith over 300 from the right side, 40 points better, or now 39 points better than as a left-hand hitter.
Outside, 1 ball and 1 strike to Osborne Earl Smith. Ozzie's still a crowd favorite around baseball. He is a leading vote getter at short for the National League, just ahead of the Reds' Barry Larkin. Fouled straight back and just underneath our booth. And a good thing it was.
You see, 21 of his 23 career home runs have come batting from the right side, and we told you that he's got a little more power from that way, especially more double and triple power.
Bases jammed, 2 out, 1 and 2 to Smith. Way back left center on the run. It's off the ivy. 3 runs will score. Alicea, Pagnozzi, Gilkey. Ozzie Smith has knocked in 5 runs today, and St. Louis now leads it 8-3. That ball was smoked.
Ozzie now has 31 runs driven in, and McElroy throws a high fastball out over the plate. And Ozzie comes an eyelash from hitting a grand slam home run. Well, we talked about his double and triple power as a right-hand hitter, and unfortunately he shows it to Chuck McElroy right there.
So now the batter is Greg Jeffries, a switch hitter as well. He turns around to bat right-handed. An RBI single in the 3rd after lining out to Maldonado and right in the 1st. He drew a walk in the 4th inning. 1-1.
I got to believe, Tom, that Ozzie Smith has not driven in 5 runs too many times, and we will check on it and see if that might at least tie his career high.
Oh, I'm sure you're right. That one got all the way back to the screen. Lake had no chance to catch that ball. A wild pitch for McElroy, sending Smith down to 3rd base.
That sets the record for Ozzie Smith for career runs batted in. And when you talk about wild pitches, they had something like that in mind. Unless Bill Cartwright were catching for the Cubs, he had very little chance of getting that one.
High pop fly into right field. Maldonado into right center coming in, and he has it to stop the bleeding. Cardinals have scored 8 runs in their last 3 at-bats, 3 here in the inning, and it's an 8-3 Cardinal advantage.
Want to break a European's heart? Let him test drive a Buick Park Avenue Ultra for 2 weeks, then take it away. You see, the Ultra, with its supercharged engine, luxury appointments, and Buick quality, is built in such limited quantities, it's just not available in Europe yet. Want to break a European's heart? Let him drive an Ultra, then take it away.
We're gonna have to bail.
What about the Bud Light?
No time. There's only one left. You take it. I'll never forget you.
If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light.
Not so fast.
Yes!
The universe is full of certainties. The Earth will rotate every 23.9 hours. Halley's Comet will return in 68 years. And soon, nearly 15 million people will go bowling. Introducing Strike It Rich from the Illinois Lottery. The instant game where you could win up to $300 cash, but are guaranteed to win a game of bowling. So you can't lose. You can't stop it. So don't even try. Strike It Rich. Got a second? Play this instant.
Zillions of bucks, 4 crazy killers, 1 dangerous romance into the night.
Tonight at 11:30 on Channel 9.
A brave reporter, a political murder, a deadly cover-up. Andy Garcia, Amy Irving, and Robert Duvall, a show of force.
Tonight at 7 on Channel 9.
Well, we're back at Wrigley Field, a sold-out house here today for the opener of this 4-game series. We'll get it on again tomorrow at 2:20 and then 1:20 starting times on Saturday and Sunday before embarking on a 4-city, 13-game, 16-day road trip. And there's a matchup tomorrow. Arocha, the native Cuban, having an outstanding year, and Bosky's first start at the major league level this season.
Last night, the Rockford Royals clinched the Midwest Class A Northern Division first half championship. And one of the men running that team, the Cubs, Connie Kowal. Very interested. Rockford now 43-22. It's a Tribune Company Chicago Cubs owned and operated team, and they'll qualify automatically for postseason play in the Midwest League, and we send along congratulations.
So don't say a Cub team hadn't won anything for a while.
They had to go all the way down to the Midwest League, but they did it.
Vizcaíno doubled and scored in the first inning, and he flied to center in the third. Cormier has given up 3 runs on 6 hits. 1 and 2 to Vizcaíno, who will be followed by Sandberg and then Mark Grace. You know, you look at the shortstop position for the All-Star team. And we talked about it earlier. It'll either be Ozzie Smith or Barry Larkin, a starter, depending on the balloting by the fans. Too close to call right now, as Zeal handers a high chopper and throws him out. It would be best for Vizcaíno if Larkin would win the balloting. Larkin having another all-star type year. Jeff Blauser is certainly going to make it out of Atlanta, having an outstanding year, and Vizcaíno then would have a chance. Because I don't think Ozzie would be picked. That could all change. But if Ozzie's voted in, you know Larkin's going to make it, and then it's up between Blauser and Vizcaíno.
And I think it all comes down to just how many Cubs they're going to pick on that team, because, you know, Ryan Sandberg is going to automatically be there, voted in.
And Randy Myers will be picked.
He certainly should be on the pitching staff. And so you've got 2 Cubs already with real good chances of being there. And Mark Grace, who's had trouble getting picked at first base, even with banner years year after year. First base for the last few years, Tom, has been somewhat of a glamour position in that you usually have the real big hitters at that position. But this year, Grace is driving in big runs, and this might be the year for him.
Chopped Ozzie. And it's an easy out. 2 up, 2 down. You know the problem you have, and we were talking the other day, Stoney, before Andres Galarraga came back onto the scene off the DL. He's going to be a lock to make it. Hitting over 400. He missed 2.5 weeks, and he's 3rd in the league in RBIs. And right now, Will Clark's the leading vote getter.
And Andres has got to be the one guy to make it from the Rockies, because although there are other Rockies having good years, Andres is having such a standout year that he would be an automatic selection. And again, unfortunately for Mark Grace, he's a first baseman. And look at Jeff Bagwell, the kind of year he's having. So year after year, the first base position might be the toughest of all positions to make the All-Star team. And unfortunately for Mark, that's the position he plays.
Down the left field line and fair ground. Ozzie going to call off Gilkey, and it's a perfect 5th inning for Real Cormier. We head for the 6th. Cardinals lead by 5.
If the nightingales could sing like you, they'd sing much sweeter than they do. For you brought a new kind of love to me. And if the Sandman brought me dreams of you, I'd want to sleep my whole life through. You brought a new love to me.
To stop a friend from drinking and driving, try explaining things.
Why drop me off and pick me up when I can drop you off, shop, and be back in time to pick you up? All right.
Take the keys, call a cab, take a stand. Friends don't let friends drive drunk.
Any deodorant will do if you're at a standstill. But movers and shakers need the 24-hour power of Speed Stick Antiperspirant. It's 110% protection against wetness and odor. 110% protection from movers and shakers. Speed Stick.
It's amazing how it grew and grew. That little company you started in your garage. And now you've got an automobile whose drive for quality matches your own. The Buick Park Avenue Ultra. With its supercharged engine, the Park Avenue Ultra is proof you still take pride in what comes out of your garage.
The Chris Everett Special. Celebrity interviews from a celebrity's point of view.
Sunday night at 10:30 on Channel 9.
With help from CARE, millions of people around the world are building better lives every day. Help make a world of difference. CARE.
8-3 ball game. Cardinals in front of the Cubs as they come to bat against McElroy in the 6th. It's ball 1 to Ray Langford. Langford struck out each of his first 2 times up, delivered an RBI single against McElroy in the 4th. Let's pause for a station ID on the Cubs television network.
This is WGN-TV Chicago, America's #1 sports station.
2-0 to Ray Langford, and now it goes to ball 3.
We talked about the most runs driven in by Ozzie Smith. 5 times he had driven in 4, but this is the first time in his long and illustrious career that he's driven in 5.
And he has more at-bats to go. Had a 2-run double, did Smith, in the 4th inning. Came up with the bases loaded in the 5th and smacked a 3-run triple to left center. Double to left center, I'm sorry. Ozzie Smith, already 4 for 4 today.
In 5 innings. Not too bad. That's usually a bad omen for the team you're playing against.
And a bad omen here to begin the 6th inning. Cardinals already leading by 5 runs, and McElroy walks a left-handed batting Langford who can really run.
Jim Lefevre just shaking his head in the dugout. Team had a lot of momentum coming out of that Florida series. The Cardinals had a lot of momentum coming out of their series with the Pittsburgh Pirates. And unfortunately, so far it's been the Cardinals who have carried it into this series. St. Louis winners of 8 of their last 10, their last 3 in a row. And the Phillies have lost a couple games in a row, so St. Louis is close to 9.5 back of Philadelphia.
Chicago native, former Cub Eric Pappas, what a job he has done. So well, in fact, that when Pagnozzi was called up today to make a spot on the roster, they sent down Hector Villanueva, and Pappas stays in the big leagues.
But when you hit 329, getting an opportunity to play, and your #1 catcher has gone down, that's called filling the void, and Eric Pappas did just that. And everybody, to a man, associated with the Cardinals was very pleased about his defensive work behind the plate as well as his swing in the bat. Add that to the 16-game hitting streak, and that is a super sub as far as the Cardinals are concerned.
Popped up by Zeal. Sandberg drifting out and calling for it. 1 away, back to the bag at first, Ray Langford.
The Cardinals really enjoyed having Hector Villanueva on this team. Talking with some of the coaches, they said that Hector fit in very nicely, a team favorite with his teammates. They said, however, part of the decision to sending him down was the fact that now most of the guys will get a lot more to eat in the post-game spread.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
You could see that coming, couldn't you?
I knew it was coming. Hector's only in Louisville. It's not that far away, Stoney. You'd better watch it.
And he can run well, too.
Yes,
sorry,
he can.
Sorry, Hector. But we did enjoy having you here with the Cubs. He was a crowd favorite here in Chicago, and certainly the same way in St. Louis, but he was victim of a numbers game with the Cardinals.
Mark Whitten 0 for 3. There goes Langford. Pitch taken low. Lake's throw not nearly in time. Well, McElroy has a big leg kick, and Lake really not given much of a chance to throw out Langford.
Langford stealing his 9th base. Is not one of the premier base runners on this team. He's been thrown out 7 times, but not much Lake could do at this one, as Langford was there well before the ball, and that was stolen on Chuck McElroy.
Vizcaino looking to run her back and throws on to first to retire Whitten. 2 away. Later tonight on WGN, a TV reporter becomes the news when she gets too involved in the stories she's reporting. Amy Irving and Robert Duvall star in the broadcast television premiere of A Show of Force tonight at 7 on WGN Channel 9. I've always wanted to meet Amy Irving. I love that hair of hers. Wasn't she married to Steven Spielberg for a while?
She has kind hair, Tom.
Oh, you better not follow that up with the one I've heard before. What does that mean, kind hair?
Just what it says.
The kind what? Runner at second with 2 men out. Alicea hammers it to straightaway center, but Sammy is there, and that'll end the inning. No runs, no hits. Cardinals leave one, and they lead in the middle of the sixth, 8-3.
A participating advertiser in Cubs baseball is Pepsi. Gotta have it.
What? Oh, guard dog. Oh, very scary. Finally, the good stuff.
If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light.
The name True Value on my store gives me a good feeling. It means I give my neighborhood a lot more than hardware. I'm here with the right answers, the right products, and true values.
Safer Sharpshooter Grass and Weed Killer from Ringer is just $3.99. The 28-inch by 50-foot roll of Gilbert and Bennett Rabbit Guard fencing is just $14.99. And their 36-inch fence posts are just $1.59 each.
You know, the name says it all. True Value.
You can always spot a neighborhood with pride. Maybe it's a little cleaner, a little nicer place to be. All because somebody cared enough to make it that way. Like your neighborhood 76 station. Here, every gasoline is specially formulated to keep your engine clean and running smooth. We're rather proud of that. 76. Go with the spirit.
The Chris Everett Special. Celebrity interviews from a celebrity's point of view.
Sunday night at 10:30 on Channel 9.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Chicago National League Ball Club, which has a right of approval of the announcers and is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Chicago National League Ball Club is prohibited.
All righty, along with the Professor Steve Stone, our producer, director Arnie Harris, I'm Tom Brenneman at Wrigley Field, Chicago. 8-3 ball game with the Cardinals in front. It'll be Candy Maldonado, Derek May, and then Sammy Sosa.
And the bullpen up and going. It's Dan Plesac starting to get loose.
1-0 pitch. Lined into left field. Maldonado needed that his first 2 times up. Struck out with 2 on in the first. Ended the third with 2 on with a fly ball to center. It's that old adage of don't tell me what you're hitting, tell me when you're hitting.
And there's a look at Dan Plesac. Well, stranger things have happened in this ballpark with the wind blowing out. The Cubs not that far back yet where a rally might make things a little uncomfortable for Real Cormier and the Cardinals.
Derek May looks at a strike. Derek ended the first inning with a ground ball to Jeffries. He singled and scored on Sosa's 2-run home run in the fourth. That drew the Cubs to it in 2 at 5-3, but then the Cardinals came right back and struck for 3 in the fifth. On a bases loaded, bases clearing, 3-run double by Ozzie Smith, who's knocked in 5 of St. Louis's 8 runs today. Well, Stoney, you got all the laundry complete, ready for the 16-day road trip. As it's lofted into right field, another hit for Derek May. Maldonado advances on to second base.
Well, it's a 13-game 4-city, officially 15-day road trip, although we're leaving on a Sunday, and it should be quite an event for the Cubs. It's going to be a tough trip for them because they're playing some pretty good ball clubs, although Pittsburgh is way down. Los Angeles playing real good baseball, and The series always exciting in Colorado. There'll be a lot of runs in that one as Joe Torre looks out. And his pitcher, Real Cormier, is in some trouble here.
Joe
Coleman out to the mound.
Yep. There's a couple familiar faces from 1989.
Paul Kilgus, who didn't do a whole lot with the Cubs, but Les Lancaster, who had a couple of very good years with the Cubs before falling on some hard times. Lancaster going to Detroit before getting to St. Louis. Last year with Detroit, I don't think you could call that a good year. 6.33 ERA. 6.33 ERA for a full season. Even by Detroit standards, that's not a very good year. But Les is 3-0 this year, so apparently he's a lot more comfortable in the National League.
Chuck McElroy a bit. Trainer John Fierro looks like trying to cool him down. Cubs are trying to heat up with their bats, trailing 8-3. Sammy Sosa clubbed a 2-run home run way back into left center field in the 4th inning.
McElroy looking like a boxer that's just taken a big right hand, and the referee asking him if he can continue as they put the ice on his neck, looking in his eyes to find out if anybody's home.
2 on, none out. 1-0 to Sosa. And he drills it to left center. Forget it. His second home run today. Ozzie's knocked in 5. Sammy is knocked in 5. And now it's an 8-6 St. Louis lead.
Well, we told you that no lead is safe with the wind blowing out, and Sammy Sosa answers the Ozzie Smith 5-bagger. And that's going to be it for Real Cormier as Montgomery Ward donates $300 to Cubs Care for the second blast off the bat of Sammy Sosa. And that puts the Cubs right back into the thick of this one. Sammy Sosa, one-man gang today for the Cubs, and we'll take another look at it. Cormier getting another fastball out over the plate, and Sammy takes it way back.
All righty, so Joe Torre is called for the left-hander Paul Kilgus. And we'll take a break in the action. Sosa has drawn his team to within 2.
Kick it, throw it, ride it, punch it. It's time you checked out Energy Express, the only show where you can pump up, chill out, and mouth off. Every week, we'll play games, meet pro athletes, learn a new sport, and even put you on TV. So don't just watch it. Get in on the action on Energy Express. This week at a special time, Saturday at noon.
Oh, my dear, our love is here to stay. Together we're going a long, long way. In time the Rockies may crumble, Gibraltar may tumble, they're only made of clay. But our love is here to stay.
Sammy Sosa, a 3-run home run here in the 6th inning, has made it an 8-6 St. Louis lead. And now on the pitch, former Cub left-hander Paul Kilgus.
Kilgus on for the 4th time. The record 1-0. Haven't scored off him yet in 5 2/3 innings. Given up 4 hits, and that's been it. Walked 1, fanned 4. So Sammy has unloaded the bases. Nobody on, nobody out, and a 2-run deficit as the Cubs once again trying to fight their way back into this one. And things looking a lot brighter as you take a look at Paul Kilgus.
Steve Lake is due up. And then a pinch hitter for Chuck McElroy, and Eric Yelding is moved into the on-deck circle as Plesac continues to get loose in the pen. And there's a high fly ball into left center. With room, it's Gilkey. 1 out.
Kilgus last pitched in the major leagues in 1991 with Baltimore. He last pitched in the National League 1989 with the Cubs. And he was purchased from Louisville on the 2nd of June. So he's fought his way back to the major leagues after a long absence. And he retires the first man he faced, but just barely, as Lake almost took it out.
See the numbers on Eric Yelding, batting for McElroy. Chuck 2 1/3 innings, allowed 4 hits, 3 runs earned. Walked 2, 1 intentionally, did not strike out a batter. Dan Plesac will be the man to try and keep the Cardinals where they stand. With 8 runs, he'll enter to pitch in the 7th inning. 1-1 to Yelding.
We'll try and see if we can get some sort of medical report on Chuck McElroy, if indeed it just was the heat.
It's been the Ozzie and Sammy show here today. Smith and Sosa have combined for 10 runs batted in. And McElroy's still really out of it down there. Boy, oh boy. Very reminiscent of some of the tennis players you see. After a long match in a blazing sun, generally they have to hook up an IV because of the dehydration in those cases. 2-2 to Yelding. Got him swinging. So Kilgus has come on, retired the first 2 batters he's faced in this 8-6 St. Louis lead in the bottom of the 6th inning.
Well, if you saw the little crawl we had moving across your screen in the Chicagoland area, some heavy storms moving into the area, and the Cubs hoping that they can take the lead from St. Louis before any storms do get here.
Sanchez hitless in 3 at-bats. And this time he'll punch one through into right field, a base hit. That is the 10th hit for the Cubs. 2 teams have combined for 22 today.
I know the pitchers don't like him, Tom, and I certainly didn't like him when I pitched in this park, but you got to love these games. They are exciting. Both teams just slugging away at one another. Usually it will happen with the wind blowing out, like today. Although ERAs certainly suffer, the fans don't, and it's a huge crowd here, and they're enjoying this one, as they always enjoy it when the Cubs and the Cardinals hook up.
Vizcaíno settles in. Down the right field line. This could be a tough play, and it's going to drop. Sanchez to third. So Vizcaíno finding the hole down the right field line, collecting his 2nd hit of the game, and the Cubs have the go-ahead run coming up in Ryne Sandberg.
I think Jose might have thought that this one was a foul ball. We'll take another look at it, and Ray Sanchez might have thought the same thing, but of course Ray doesn't know if somebody's going to catch the ball. He's at first base, and I don't know if he thought that the ball was going to be foul or what it was. There is 2 outs in the inning, but I do know that that base hit, although windblown, will drive Paul Kilgus from the mound, and they're still working on Chuck McElroy, who seems to be in some trouble on the bench.
Well, Les Lancaster is going to come in the game to face a right-handed batting Sandberg. We'll be back with more right after this.
Now at Six Flags Great America, the all-new Batman Stunt Show. Explosive action, electrifying stunts, and all those wonderful toys. There's even the incredible Batmobile. All the greatest stunts Hollywood has to offer, right here at a theme park that's bigger than Disneyland and a whole lot closer. See the new Batman Stunt Show, only at Six Flags Great America. And don't miss the heart-pounding thrills of Batman, the Ride.
If you're concerned about getting rid of weeds this way, try a better way. I'm Jim Martindale, here to introduce you to the Weed Popper. Place the Weed Popper next to a weed, step down, and the weed pops right out. The Weed Popper pulls weeds without kneeling, bending, and without chemicals that may be dangerous to our groundwater supply. The Weed Popper, with its 100% lifetime guarantee, pops weeds out as easy as 1, 2, 3.
The Weed Popper, available at Walgreens, Kmart, Frank's, and Handy Andy. A great gift for friends who garden.
Well, this Chuck McElroy situation appears to be very serious down there in that dugout. John Fierro and Brett Fisher, the Cub trainers, trying to administer some kind of relief for McElroy. They have those towels packed full of ice, trying to cool the body temperature down. He looks out of it right now.
We take a look at Les Lancaster, and we certainly hope that Chuck McElroy is going to be okay. Normally, Tommy, they do have a doctor always around, and hopefully they'll take a good look at Chuck McElroy as Les Lancaster comes into the ball game. And Les putting together a good year. 3-0, the ERA 3.38, on for the 32nd time. 37 and a third innings, giving up 2 home runs, walked 14, fan 22. He inherits runners at the corners. Still 2 outs here in the 6th inning. The Cubs have tacked 3 on the board. They trail by 2. And Ryne Sandberg going to look out at Lancaster, his former teammate.
Les Lancaster, as many of you are well aware, had a marvelous 1989 year. A 1.36 ERA in 42 games, a 4-2 record out of the Cub bullpen. And a very good 91 year. Started 11 games, appeared in 64 overall, and a 352 earned run average with a 9-7 record. He did everything they ever asked from him. Runners on the corner. Sandberg represents the go-ahead run, and he looks at a strike.
Les Lancaster always had a pretty good slider, and the only time he'd ever get in trouble with it was when he'd get it up in the strike zone, and that's what Sandberg is looking for here. Outfield straight away and very deep for him.
Cardinals lead 8-6. Runners on the corners with 2 men out, and it's out of play. Lancaster jumps in front at 0-2.
You can't give up on any fly balls down the line with the wind blowing out. The reason is that everything is going to be blown back toward the field of play as Tom Urbani starts throwing in the bullpen.
Sanchez at third. Vizcaino the potential tying run over at first. 2 men are out. It's 0-2 to Sandberg. We're in the last of the 6th inning. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Sandberg an RBI single in the first. He walked in the third, bounced to short in the 5th. All 3 of those at bats were against the left-hander Real Cormier. One and 2 to Sandberg, and it's into right field. Witten racing back. He'll get it. Sandberg knocked the cover off of it, but comes up empty. 3 runs, 5 hits, 2 men left. Harry back in the 7th inning as the Cubs trail the Cardinals by 2.
Did you like Ray Stevens' last video?
Yeah, I did.
Well, here he comes again.
That burns
with a brand new video. Ray Stevens Live. 11 great songs, including Guitar Zan. Ahab the Arab. Shriners Convention. I saw Elvis in a UFO.
Saw Elvis in a UFO.
Misty.
Look at me.
That musical funny man is loose again. This time live on stage for almost 1 full hour of new zany family entertainment. Here's how to order.
For rush delivery, have your credit card ready and call 1-800-637-1122 or send $19.98 plus $4.50 shipping to Ray Stevens Live, P.O. Box 7008, Department 7, Tarzana, California. Or call now 1-800-637-1122.
The insurance business can be a hazardous place, an uneasy economy, a jagged stock market, failed real estate, junk bonds. One company protects its policyholders by shunning risky investments, offering solid supplemental insurance coverage, combining prudent judgment with dedicated service. That company is Aflac. Aflac, insuring over 35 million people worldwide.
I've given thousands of autographs, but the most important one is on my donor card.
To become a tissue donor, call 1-800-767-1200.
Hello again, everybody. Harry Carey with Steve Stone and Tom Brenneman. And Dan Plesac takes over now for the Chicago Cubs. He's the Cubs' third pitcher. And the Cardinals have used 3.
And it's a ball game again with the Cubs trailing by just 2 as Dan Plesac comes in. No record, a 5.33 ERA, on for the 18th time. Giving up 6 home runs in just 25 1/3 innings. And the Cardinals, a very hot team at this point.
Chuck McElroy apparently affected by the heat, huh? Here's a pitch to Pagnozzi.
We've had a couple of looks at him, Harry, and they're still working on him in the dugout. John Fierro still over there. They've been doing that for about 20 minutes, along with Brett Fisher, trying to get his temperature down and maybe clear his head somewhat.
Here's a pitch a little bit inside. Boy, I tell you, it's a hot day. About 86 degrees. Coming right out of the winter time into midsummer.
And it's humidity also, and I think that, as much as anything else, got to McElroy.
Here's the pitch inside. Pagnozzi. He's had 2 out of 3. The big story of this game is Ozzie Smith, the 38-year-old veteran shortstop. 4 out of 4, 5 RBI. There's a strikeout, and he did it with 2 successive doubles. One driving in 2 in the 4th, the other one driving in 3 in the 5th.
And on the other side of the coin, Sammy Sosa's been close to a one-man gang for the Cubs with 5 runs driven in to answer Ozzie's and a couple of long balls.
Here's a pitch, foul out of play. That's the second time this year that Sammy's driven in 5 runs in the game. And he'll come up again. We're only in the top of the 7th. 1/3 to go. 8-6 Cardinals. There's Sammy. Base hit. Boy, no matter who relieves, bing, bing, bing. And you can use Asemacher and Scanlon every single day without even mentioning Randy Myers. Those are the 3 men who've been doing the job.
Les Lancaster in a bunt situation.
You know, I knew Lancaster was with the Cardinals, Steve. I knew Eric Pappas was with the Cardinals. And I knew Lee Smith was with the Cardinals.
I think it's a balk.
It is a balk. And Pagnozzi advances a second. But Kilgus really surprised me.
Well, he hasn't been around in the major league since 1991, Harry. And apparently there's no hesitation, and I think that's what they're calling on Dan Plesac. You have to give him the second pause. Billy not very happy with that. Called by Gary Darling. And now Lancaster, if he does choose to bunt, instead of to first base, he'll want to bunt it to third.
You know, if it were a young rookie pitcher like a Wendell or something like that, you'd say it could happen. But here's a guy been around about 11 years in the major league. Here's the ball bunted. Can't advance him to third. He picked it up on his short hop and threw him out. Tom Pagnozzi could not advance. He's afraid that Vizcaíno would catch it in the air and it'd be doubled off of second base. But nobody could possibly have been covered second base. The wheel was on, with Sandberg coming over to cover first and Sanchez to cover third, with Vizcaíno charging the bunter. So there's 1 out. And that brings up Bernard Gilkey.
Heathcliff Slocum picked up his first loss for the Cleveland Indians today.
And the Tigers, I tell you, when he lost the ball game in the bottom of the 6th, when Detroit scored 7 runs.
Usually that'll do it.
1 ball, no strikes.
But he's not the first pitcher that Detroit has battered around old Tiger Stadium.
How about all year long? Here's the pitch, high. 2 balls, no strikes, 1 out. We're in the top of the 7th. 8-6 in favor of the Cardinals. If the Cubs could ever find anybody to hold them for an inning or 2, they still have a chance to win this ball game. There's a drive way back. Forget about it. A long home run. Bernard Gilkey, who's been a very hot hitter, just accounts for 2 more runs with his 3rd homer of the year.
He now has 21 driven in, and Dan Plesac continues to throw him a long way. For Plesac, that's the 7th home run he's given up in just 25 2/3 innings. And every time the Cubs come back, the Cardinals come roaring back. And this is a bomb off the bat of Bernard Gilkey.
Well, I tell you what we need now. Here is Ozzie Smith. 4 out of 4 with 5 RBI. His career high. Shooting for his 5th hit of the day. Oh, and 1 to pitch. The margin now is 4. Sammy Sosa's hit 1 with 1 on, hit another one with 2 on. Now it takes 1 with 3 on to tie it up. 2 balls and the strike. Ozzie Smith, 38-year-old veteran shortstop. Line drive, center field, going back, over Sosa's head. Here goes Ozzie Smith around to second base. His 5th straight hit today, his 3rd straight double today.
Sammy Sosa didn't play that ball very well, and he certainly should have had it. But in defense of Sammy, he's played right field all year, and the toughest ball to play is the one hit straight at you. So he turns around, actually turning the wrong way on the ball, and then comes up a little short on the attempt. So it's a gift double, but 3 straight doubles and 5 straight hits for the ageless wonder, the Wizard of Oz.
Here now is Jeffries. Look at this. Wendell started. He allowed 8 hits and 5 runs in 3 2/3 innings. McElroy relieved. Pitched 2 1/3 innings. Allowed 4 hits and 3 runs. Plesac has pitched only 1/3 of an inning. He already has allowed 2 runs.
Ozzie's previous career high of 5 hits, also accomplished here at Wrigley Field back on June 11th of 1989. So he's tied his career high.
Here's Jeffrey. There's a line drive down the left field line, caught nicely by Derek May. And Jeffries is 1 out of 4. The line drive that Derek May caught over near the line. 10-6 in favor of St. Louis.
There's been a lot of hitters that have had 4 consecutive doubles, and that's the record. One of those hitters is sitting in the Cub dugout. Billy Williams, back on April 9th of 1969, had 4 straight doubles. Ozzie has 3.
Here now is Langford. And the pitch. Curveball low. There's Billy Williams. Just turned 55 the other day. One ball, no strikes. A lot of 55-year-old people are saying to themselves, gee, I didn't know Billy Williams was 55, forgetting that they too are 55. And Billy is in great shape. He looks like he could play with that same sweet batting swing today. Ozzie Smith at 38, 5 out of 5 today. Langford is fanned twice, single driving in a run. Walked and stole a base, his 9th of the year.
The only 2 guys the Cubs have been able to get out all day, Zeal and Witten, hitting back-to-back in back of Langford in the lineup. They're 0 for 8 between them. But on either side of them, the Cardinal hitters have been pounding away at Cub pitching.
Cardinals have already had 15 hits. High pop foul out of play. Langford. Watch his swing up there. He seems to have a little bit of a loft to it. But he hits nothing but line drive. A true left-handed hitter. 1 ball, 2 strikes. He struck him out for the 3rd time today. 2 runs, 3 hits, no errors, and 1 man left. We go in the bottom of the 7th. And the Cardinals are leading 10-6. All right. On this red-hot day, let me hear you. A 1, a 2, a 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the root for the Cardinals. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's the old ball game. Hey!
Bud Light, please.
Tonight's ladies' night, and there's a special on Bud Light.
If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down, make it a Bud Light.
Oh no, it's Ted from accounting.
United. The airline is uniting the world with thousands of flights to cities on 5 continents. Proudly unveils a plane no bigger than your hand. It comes with McDonald's Friendly Skies meals for kids. The food kids love. Because when you're big, you should always remember the little. United. Come fly the Friendly Skies.
Zillions of bucks, 4 crazy killers, 1 dangerous romance into the night.
Tonight at 11:30 on Channel 9. Here's Mark Grace to lead it off. Bottom of the 7th, the Cubs trailing by 4. How much they charge for that water? 1 ball, no strikes. There's a fastball in there. Les Lancaster, ex-Cub. 1 ball, 1 strike. Base hit. Grace is 3 out of 4 today. And here's Maldonado. Candies have 1 out of 3.
Rob Murphy loosening up in the bullpen. And remember the stopper of this team, Lee Smith, with 20 saves, although Smitty's ERA a little bit higher than most stoppers at 3.80 this year. And he's the man they look to late. It's Candy Maldonado now getting a chance against a right-hand pitcher.
Had a nice little chat with Lee today. And I said, Lee, we'll see you today, and I think we're going to. If there's a chance of a save, he'll be in there. It looks like a doctor's looking at McElroy. Apparently, if we don't know what it is, you just got to guess it might be the heat. A bouncing ball, that ought to be easy. Zeal's peg in time. And Grace advances. Maldonado bounces out. Here's Derek May against Lancaster.
Well, Harry, they've been looking at Chuck McElroy now for about a half hour on the bench and trying to do everything they can. And fortunately, they've got somebody down there now to take a look. He's lying down, and I would have to say it's the heat, and hopefully he'll be okay. This is one of the real serious things at the ballpark today.
Derek May with 2 out of 3. Lancaster's pitch. 1 strike and nothing. There are 4 ex-Cubs on the Cardinals. Paul Kilgus, Eric Pappas, Les Lancaster, Lee Smith, all quickly come to mind.
Bob Tewksbury.
Yes, he was with the Cubs too. 1 ball, 1 strike. Line drive into right field, against the right field wall. Here's a runner going to be held up at third.
What an arm.
Grace had a fear Witten making the catch.
And what an arm by Mark Witten. He got a 1-hopper against the wall. Normally, this has got to be a double, but watch the throw come into second base. The ball bounces right back to him. With the bare hand, he just fires it in on a hop, and Grace can't score. And Derek May winds up with a very long single.
And so here is Sammy Sosa. He hit a homer with 1 on in the 4th. He hit a homer with 2 on in the 6th. Each time to pull his team within 2 runs of the Cardinals. They got a stretcher in the dugout. As soon as there's something to report, we'll let you know. Lancaster swings at the slider and he misses. That was a bad pitch. Sosa hit his 2 homers against the left-handed pitching of Real Cormier.
And Rick Wilkins now in the on-deck circle. He's going to come on to pinch hit for Steve Lake.
Time is called. We're in the bottom of the 7th. That evens it up, a ball and a strike. Lancaster. Here's Bullinger in the bullpen. He was the winner yesterday against the Marlins. 1 ball, 1 strike. Held up in time. 2 balls and the strike. Sammy looking at Chuck Cartier coaching at third. Jose Martinez at first. If he hits another one, the score will be 10-9. It's 10-6 right now. Ball low. 3 balls and a strike.
Pagnozzi very good at blocking low pitches, and he saved the Cardinals a run right there, and he saved Les Lancaster a wild pitch. This would have been his 3rd wild pitch, but for Tom Pagnozzi, who reaches across and makes sure nobody can advance.
3 balls and a strike. Wilkins would be next. Throw to first, runner back. Lancaster's been throwing Sosa nothing but breaking ball. Three balls and a strike. Pops straight up in the air. Had a good swing, got a good pitch. He just got under the ball and popped out. Ozzie Smith.
We'll take another look at the swing of Sammy Sosa just underneath it. And now we'll see if it's going to be Les Lancaster to face Rick Wilkins or if it's going to be Rob Murphy. And I'm guessing it's going to be Rob Murphy now that Wilkins has been announced.
Joe Torre strolls slowly out. Rob Murphy was beaten by the Cubs down in St. Louis as the Cubs took this series 2 out of 3. It's Murphy going to be brought in. And boy, this has been a slugfest. The Cubs have had
The new Cardinals pitcher will be Rob Murphy.
13 hits, and the Cardinals have had 15 hits. This doesn't say much for the pitching staff of either ball club.
Well, the Cardinals came in with pretty good pitching, a team ERA of 3.47, and that's not too bad. The Cub pitching staff, on the other hand, had a team ERA of 4.03, but really doesn't matter much with the wind blowing out here at Wrigley Field. It can make any pitching staff look less than spectacular, and today has been the hitter's day on both sides of the field.
Today's official attendance, 38,214,
38,214 paid. Lee Smith is about ready to go down to the bullpen.
And Rob Murphy comes into this one at 1-4, but a fine ERA of 2.73 on for the 31st time. He doesn't have any saves as he's been used in the middle. 26 in the third innings, 18 hits, but he has given up 4 home runs. He's walked 9, he's fanned 18.
There's Chuck McElroy being carried out of the dugout on the stretcher. We will have a report as soon as one is available. The paid attendance for the year for the Cubs at Wrigley Field, 1,061,973. With 3 more games here, you can figure about better than another 100,000. So they'll be well over 1,100,000 before they go out on this long road trip.
Wilkins done a very good job off the bench, 2 for 3. Both of them home runs as a pinch hitter, and the Cubs could use one of those now.
Wilkins, a hot hitter, hitting .279, 12 homers, 21 RBI. Curve over the outside corner. Rob Murphy, a veteran. He's been around a while with various clubs. Rob Murphy started with the Reds, then with the Red Sox, then Seattle, last year Houston, now St. Louis. Fouled it out of play, and he's behind now, 0-2.
Last year, Murphy was durable, if not spectacular, with the Houston Astros. He appeared in 59 games, had no saves, 3-1 record, but a high ERA of 4.04.
Runners at first and third. Outside, barely missed. Oh, for a long run. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Bottom of the 7th. 10-6 St. Louis.
The usual setup man for the Cardinals is Mike Perez. But today the job falls to Rob Murphy.
Struck him out on a bad pitch. And Wilkins goes down swinging. No runs, 2 hits, no errors, 2 left at the end of 7th. 10-6 Cardinals.
It was Memorial Day. I'm barbecuing for 30. I got the best chicken, I got the best steaks, I got the cheap charcoal, and I got burned.
Fire's out.
Totally.
When do we eat?
Sorry.
Still out.
So don't get burned by cheap charcoal. By the best.
Kingsford charcoal. Lights faster, cooks longer. Kingsford, the surefire.
The
the official forecast for summer 1993. Light to moderate breezes, cooler temperatures, and gently falling utility bills. Conditions are expected to persist for the next 20 to 45 years. Other than that, everything's quiet. Hunter, the quiet fan.
They don't play kick the can like you used to. They don't dress the same way. They learned to read 3 years before you did. They've never owned a record. So why are you taking pictures of them with the same old film? Try Fujicolor Super G film. Because your pictures should be nostalgic. Your film shouldn't.
Play some games. Meet the pros. Express your energy on Energy Express. This week at a special time, Saturday at noon.
A brave reporter, a political murder, a deadly cover-up. Andy Garcia, Amy Irving, and Robert Duvall, a show of force.
Tonight at 7 on Channel 9.
Harry Carey back at Wrigley Field. We're going into the top of the 8th. And Todd Zeile will lead it off. He's 0 for 4. And you wonder how he and Witten could be 0 for 4 each. When the Cardinals have 15 hits in 7 innings. And 10 runs scored. 5 of them batted in by Ozzie Smith. 1 ball, 1 strike. Plesac. Strike call. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The White Sox at Oakland lead the A's 1-0 in the 5th. Bouncing ball, foul, outside third base. $38,000 today, plus they're enjoying themselves out in the bleachers. Foul back. Boy, how can you not love watching baseball at Wrigley Field? How are the sailboats doing, Arnie? Here's a pitch swung on a long drive. Way back, Maldonado makes the catch. Nice play. Goes into the corner to grab Zeile's long fly ball.
It's a nice catch by Candy Maldonado, battling the wind. This one looked like it might go foul, but the wind bringing it back into fair territory, and Maldonado hauls it in to make Zeile 0 for 5 today.
The Cubs have left 8 men on base, besides scoring 6 runs. Practically the whole offense has been Sammy Sosa, who's hit 2 homers, good for 5 runs out of the 6 they have. The Cardinals have left 9 men on base, as they've pounded out 15 hits. Witten takes the strike, 2-2. Bucky Dent, the third base coach, is protecting himself. There goes a little pop fly. Will drop in right field. Come on, Bucky. You didn't figure him right. He hit it to right. You were afraid he was going to pull on it and foul it down the third baseline.
Talk with Bucky Dent about his managerial career. He had from August to the end of the year with the Yankees and 40 games into the next season. So he wasn't given much of a chance with the New York Yankees as a manager, and he says he's looking forward to his next shot, but so far it has not been forthcoming.
Here's Alessia. He has had 3 out of 4. Pagnozzi has had 3 out of 4. Even the pitcher, Cormier's had a hit. And they're having fun on the rooftops. 1 ball, no strikes. The Friday game tomorrow, 2:20 start. Leadoff man at 2 o'clock. Strike call. And hopefully there'll be another daily double tomorrow. Cub victory in the afternoon. And the Bulls repeat at night. Bouncing ball. Throw to second for 1. No play at first. Boy, Witten went in hard to Sandberg, trying to break up the double play, and he did.
This ball knocked Jose Vizcaino off balance, and really no chance to get 2 here as he finally rights himself, and Witten trying to take the legs out from Sandberg, but Rhino adept at avoiding the contact. He sees exactly where Witten is. He went in hard, but it was a clean slide. He could get his hand to the bag, and no double play.
You know, you saw the graphic about the lower part of the batting order. What's so good about that? How about the top? Gilkey has scored 3 runs and batted in 2. And Ozzie Smith, batting second, has had 5 out of 5 with 5 RBIs. That's 7 RBIs from the first 2 guys in the lineup. There's a long drive by Pagnozzi way back. Great catch by Sammy Sosa. Boy, he had to go some for that one. And so it's no runs. 1 hit, 1 left. We go in the bottom of the 8th. The Cubs need runs as they trail 10-6.
Come on, let's get a cold one.
Our total attendance for today's game.
Oh, would you look at this beer line? I'm gonna go back.
What? Foul ball? No, I'm not.
Foul ball!
Foul ball? Foul ball? Out of the way!
I got it!
If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never let you down,
Make it 2 Bud Lights, please.
make it a Bud Light.
Hey, you got another ball?
The in-your-face fadeaway. Arc times velocity equals a 3-point shot. Translation, Electric Avenue beats the shorts off of Sears.
Scotty, just look at the Electric Avenue All-Star lineup. Sony, Panasonic, RCA, Apple, Maytag, GE. Plus, Electric Avenue will match any store's advertised price guaranteed.
Teeny little guys, weren't they?
Can't believe he broke it at the company picnic.
Incredible. Our employee health plan covers him, right?
Not deductibles or co-payments.
So he has to lay out his own money.
Gaps in your health plan can be costly. Aflac can help. Aflac is a leader in supplemental insurance with 35 years of dependable service. Today, employees of over 80,000 companies count on Aflac for the peace of mind to get on with life.
Any ideas?
Yeah, Aflac.
Aflac, insuring over 35 million people worldwide.
Zillions of bucks, 4 crazy killers, 1 dangerous romance into the night.
Tonight at 11:30 on Channel 9.
With help from CARE, millions of people around the world are building better lives every day. Help make a world of difference. CARE.
Harry Carey back at Wrigley Field. Doug Jennings, who's hit a home run as a pinch hitter and a double as a pinch hitter, will bat for Plesac.
2 runs never earned, 1 strikeout, 1 home run, 1 ball. They take 2 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs never earned, 1 strikeout, 1 home run, 1 ball.
Ron Murphy, whoa, over his head. I'm sure he wouldn't be deliberately throwing at Jennings.
Well, this is a pretty good knock. And it goes right over the head of Doug Jennings, who's able to bend down under it.
Maybe there's a high fly ball way back, the wind carrying it right at the 368-foot mark. And Witten grabs it. Jennings flies to Witten.
That one just missed going out of the ballpark, and when you get knocked down, you want to hit the next pitch out of the park. And Jennings, but for a couple of feet, would have done just that.
Let's pause here for station identification.
This is WGN-TV Chicago, America's #1 sports station.
Hey, the Ivy looks pretty good out there, huh? 1 out. There's a ground ball. Shortstop picking it up, can't make a play. A hit for Sanchez off of Ron Murphy's glove.
It's going to give Sanchez 2 for 5 as a bare hand attempt goes awry. This is do or die for Ozzie Smith, and he can't come up with it. So Bollinger will come in the game for the Cubs, and it looks like Mike Perez loosening up for the Cardinals.
And here is Vizcaíno, 2 out of 4 for the day. Vizcaíno probably hitting about 347 right now with his 2 for 4. Strike call.
Attention media. Cubs pitcher Chuck McElroy was taken to Northwestern Memorial Hospital with possible heat stroke. We'll give you an update if we have one.
Possible. There it is. There's the Chuck McElroy going to Northwestern Memorial Hospital.
Possible heat stroke is the...
There's a long drive. Way back. It might be out of here. It's off the fence. Here's a run going to score. The relay will not be made. It's a 10-7 ball game. Vizcaíno just missed the home run. Almost into the center field corner of the left field bleachers.
8th double of the year and 20th run batted in as Vizcaíno stays red hot. This one over the head of Langford and hits high off the ivy. And the Cubs pull within 3 with a heart of the order due up against Murphy. And let's see if Joe Torre is going to go to the bullpen. I got to believe that he wants to bring in the right-hander to face Sandberg.
And he's going to make a double switch in his lineup.
But back to Chuck McElroy. It's possible heat stroke. That's what they think he has. And he's going to Northwestern Memorial Hospital. And we certainly hope that Chuck is going to be okay.
We're going to have, I think, Geronimo Pena comes in to play second base, replacing Alicia. And Perez will be the pitcher. Well, Okendo comes in to play second base. Okendo comes in, Jose Okendo.
Mike Perez coming into the game. The record 4-2. The ERA 2.41 on for the 34th time, and he's got 3 saves. The Cardinals, as a team, have 24 saves, 20 by Lee Smith, 3 by Mike Perez, 1 by Omar Olivares. And so Perez comes in, 41 innings of work. He's given up just 2 home runs, walked just 14 while fanning 36. And he inherits Jose Vizcaíno at second base. A 3-run Cardinal lead. and Sandberg and Grace due up.
So now they have used Cormier, Kilgus, Lancaster, Murphy, and Perez. And Lee Smith cannot be far behind. If they are still leading going into the bottom of the ninth, you can bet he'll be going for his 20th save of the year. He's down in the bullpen right now. Eric Pappas down there with him. Everybody will remember Chambliss, who's done a good job of managing minor league teams, often mentioned as a possible major league manager, but what a fine hitter he was. Lee Smith will be going for his 21st save, which would tie him with Randy Meyer. Strike called on Sandberg. There's Lee. I can't believe it. Bouncing ball. Deflected. It's going to be a base hit. And the runner's on at first and third. Sandberg with another infield hit. And he's 2 out of 4 again. And now the tying runners at the plate in the person of Mark Grace.
That would have been an easy play for Ozzie Smith, but fortunately for the Cubs, it deflects off the glove of Mike Perez. That's how Ray Sanchez got on, and that's how Ryne Sandberg got on. So some breaks in the inning, and let's see if they can take advantage of it. As Mark Grace having a big day, 3 for 4. Looking for his first run batted in, and his 48th or 9th of the year.
There's a weak roller down to the first baseman. Easy out, but a run scored, and Grace is credited with his 48th RBI as Vizcaino crossed the plate. Sandberg advances second.
This one down and out of the strike zone. It's a good sinker. And Jeffries can do nothing but go to first base, but not before the run scores. And things getting a little tight here in the 8th inning. The Cardinals now with just a 2-run lead.
Here now is Maldonado. Pitches outside. The Cubs have scored 2 runs, and they trail 10-8. We're in the bottom of the 8th. Swung and a miss. A ball and a strike. If there's any day perfect for Maldonado to hit a home run in, this would be it. The wind is blowing out. The air is dry. The ball is carrying. 1 ball, 1 strike. Outside. Perez. There's a fly ball into short center field. Makes the catch. Langford to retire the side. 2 runs on 3 hits. 1 man left at the end of 8. Cardinals 10, Cubs 8.
A participating advertiser in Cubs baseball is United. Chicago's hometown airline is proud to be the official airline of the Chicago Cubs.
The laboratories of 2001 announce a major breakthrough in auto protectant technology, Formula 2001 Super Protectant. Its advanced SunStop formula helps protect against the sun's UV rays, extreme temperatures, and moisture, which cause fading, drying, and cracking. What's more, independent lab tests prove Formula 2001 provides a more brilliant, longer-lasting shine than Armor All on vinyl and leather. But what if your car's surfaces are already faded? We went to the Arizona desert to put Formula 2001 Super Protectant to the ultimate test. Watch what happens to UV faded vinyl, rubber, even dried faded leather. Get the new standard in automotive protectant technology, the one with 50% more active shining ingredients than Armor All. Formula 2001 Super Protectant with a fresh leather fragrance. And for the unique demands of tire care, get new Formula 2001 Tire Foam and Shine. Just spray and walk away. Get 2001 at these fine stores.
It was my first serious dinner at his family's. So much food.
This is Greg's favorite dish.
And my first serious heartburn. And I learned some things.
Oh no, these are different. Tums has calcium.
Most antacids don't. Of all these, the only one that helps wipe out heartburn and gives you calcium you need every day is Tums.
Something my body needs anyway. I like that.
Calcium-rich Tums.
A brave reporter, a political murder, a deadly cover-up. Andy Garcia, Amy Irving, and Robert Duvall, a show of force.
Tonight at 7 on Channel 9.
Today's Russ Tough out of the game is brought to you by Russ Tough from Krylon, and it's off the bat of Tom Pagnazzi. Sammy Sosa on his horse in center field, hauls it in, makes a fine catch, and that was the tough out of the game.
Jim Bullinger, and there's Dwight Smith comes in to play center field. Sammy Sosa shifts from center to right. Maldonado out of the ball game, and Jim Bullinger is the relief pitcher. There's Lee Smith getting ready. Jose Oquendo. He came into play second base when they made the double switch with Perez. Two balls and a strike. Yesterday, Bullinger pitched 1 2/3 innings. Perfect baseball, then he walked 2 men in a row. Gave way to relief. Ball 3. Ozzie Smith, 5 out of 5 and 5 runs batted in.
And he's going to get another opportunity to get his all-time best hit game.
3 balls and a strike. Ball 4. And it looks like Bullinger's tendency to walk people has not left him in Iowa.
That really hurt him in spring training. He just didn't have very good control, and that's one of the reasons why he did not make the staff. And he thought he had worked it out at Iowa. So now he's got a very tough inning set up with the top of the order.
Here is Gilkey. Every Cub pitcher used has been scored on.
Oquendo does not have good speed at first base.
Gilkey trying to bunt. Bunt's foul.
Gilkey does not have a sacrifice this year. And Oquendo does not have a stolen base opportunity this year.
Now we had a streak the other day where the first 2 hitters were on base 10 times in a row. Now between Gilkey and Ozzie Smith, they have 6 hits and 7 runs batted in, batting first and second. Again, he was going to bunt. A ball and a strike. Oquendo a lead. The throw. A long ball game. We started at 120. He pops it in the air, foul, and the count is 1-2. Gilkey, for all his tremendous speed, one of the fastest men in baseball, doesn't have much luck sacrificing. He homered with a man on off Plesac in the 7th.
You had a look at a young man that's not really enjoying his day at the ballpark.
Base hit down the third base line. Here's a run around to third. He's going to hold up. And Gilkey is thinking as he pulls up at second with a double. How could they ever ask me to sacrifice? When I homer one time and a double the next time?
13th double of the year for Bernard Gilkey. Frank Pulley motioning fair all the way. And Jim Bullinger in trouble as the Cardinals have pounded out 17 hits today.
The ball game in the 9th. Bullinger.
Ozzie already with a career day in runs batted in. Could really put the topper on it here as the Cub infield in at all 4 positions, meaning no angle on the ground balls at all.
Runners second and third. They're not going to walk him. They're going to pitch to him. Figuring the law of averages is with him. Ozzie's had 5 out of 5. There's a drive. Deep right field. Sammy Sosa makes the catch. A run scores after the catch. That's his 6th RBI today. He's still got his 5 for 5. He doesn't get a time at bat for the long sacrifice fly, but he does get an RBI, which makes it 6 for the afternoon.
He started today with 26 runs batted in. It looks like he'll end the day with 32 as he drives in 6. And the Cubs once again trail by 3.
Let's see what he did yesterday.
It's not even close to what he did today.
The pitching was much better yesterday.
1 for 4, I think, Harry.
They won the game from the Pirates 3-2. Ozzie Smith had 1 out of 4 yesterday. And no RBI. The infield is in. Greg Jeffries has had only 1 hit. He's a hot hitter all year long for the Cardinals. He's batted in the run with 1 out of 4. A high pop fly. Sanchez going back to make the catch. So Jeffries is 1 out of 5 for the day. And here's Ray Langford.
Let's see if they choose to walk Langford, although he only has 1 hit. He still is a left-hand hitter. They can take their chances with Zeal, a right-hand hitter who's 0 for 5. So
11-8.
So far, nobody's put up 4 fingers, so they're going to pitch to Langford.
Bullinger. A walk, a double, a sacrifice fly, and a pop-up. Every time the Cubs have gained a little bit, the Cardinals have come back and scored again. Ground ball, Grace has it. So it's 1 run, 1 hit, and 1 man left. We go in the bottom of the 9th. The Cardinals are leading 11-8.
I was born to make you happy. I think it's just my style. What would I do if I didn't have you? Just love to see you smile. I love to see you smile.
Here's the real beauty of Rust-Oleum protective coatings. A tough barrier against the elements. Rust-Oleum, the name that means protection.
So I'm barbecuing for 30. I got the best steaks, I got the cheap charcoal, and I got burned.
Fire's out.
Don't get burned by cheap charcoal. Buy the best.
Kingsford, the surefire.
Hey kids, join Cubs manager Jim Lefevre, Derek May, Sammy Sosa, and a host of Cubs players and coaches for the second annual All-Star Kids Clinic, sponsored by Dial Soap and WGN-TV. Don't miss your chance to go on the field at Wrigley and learn hitting, pitching, and fielding from the pros. There will be special appearance by Bozo the Clown, and everyone attending receives a Cubs sports bag filled with prizes. Tickets are just $10 per person. For more information, call 312-404-CUBS.
The Chris Everett Special. Celebrity interviews from a celebrity's point of view.
Sunday night at 10:30 on Channel 9. Here's a great idea. Aha! Charles and Buddy together again.
It's like having a pet monkey.
Charles in Charge. Today at 4:30 on Channel 9.
Harry Carey with the Buick game summary up to this point, with the Cardinals leading 11-8 as we go in the bottom of the ninth. Ozzie Smith, a career high of 5 hits and 6 RBIs today. Sosa has hit 2 home runs in the game, the 5th time in his career he's done that. And rookie Turk Wendell was hit pretty hard in his baptism of fire in the National League.
Lee Smith comes into the game, and Lee at 2-1, ERA 3.80, on for the 26th time, looking for save number 21. And Tracy Woodson has taken over at third base. He'll hit in the number 5 spot.
And the Cardinals are leading by 3. So Lee Smith can pick up his 21st save, which would tie him with Randy Myers for the National League lead. Hot shot! What a play by Jeffries! What a play! Took a base hit away.
Well, Jeffries came over with a reputation of having a weak glove, and they tried to play him at second base and third base, and nothing worked out. But at first base, he's adjusted rather well, and this is a spectacular effort as he takes a sure base hit away from May and records the first out of the inning. And that could turn out to be a very big play before it's over. So Jeffries, with only 2 errors this year at first base, seems to have found a home over there.
Galarraga's still leading the league, hitting .433. John Crux has moved ahead of Barry Bonds. Crux .362, Bonds .361. Vizcaíno is 6th in the league, and he's added a couple of points today. Here's Sosa. Swung and he missed. I have an idea he's not going to hit Lee Smith very far.
Well, Lee Smith has certainly adjusted as he's moved along in the aging department. As you see, the all-time saves leader pulling away from Jeff Reardon. And Lee Smith now throws a lot of sliders, whereas in years past he depended on a blazing fastball. He still has a good fastball, but the slider is his out pitch.
Fouled it off. Lee Smith left the Cubs in '86. Nobody's ever been able to figure out why.
Well, he only left him about 195 saves ago.
Who are the pitchers that got Napier and
Al Nipper and Calvin Schiraldi?
Yeah.
2 very forgettable right-handers.
Neither one is still pitching anywhere. 0-2 the count. High pop fly, short right, coming in Witten, under the ball, makes a catch. 2 out. And the only thing I've ever heard that seemed to make a little sense was that some people connected with the Cubs in the managing department, like the field manager or the general manager, didn't like his personality. And they thought they'd get two nice people that everybody would like instead of the one guy who could pitch. But I found Lee Smith a likable guy. Here's the pitch. In there, a strike call. One thing they cannot deny was a terrible mistake, which might rank with the famous mistake that gets all the ink, the Lou Brock trade. Compared to the Lou Brock trade, there's a drive, left field base hit for Wilkins. Wilkins single to left.
Well, the thing it created, Harry, when you look back at that deal, and you look at how many dollars the Cubs have expended trying to fill the void originally created by the departure of Lee Smith, both in trying to get a stopper and then having to trade Rafael Palmeiro, a left fielder, and trying to get a left fielder to replace him, you're talking probably a total of about $40 million trying to fill the hole created by the departure of Lee Smith.
And just because you didn't like him, would you rather have a guy you like and finish last, or a guy you hate and finish first? 2 out, a runner at first. Dwight Smith batting for the first time today. Smitty's been hitting the ball well over 300 with 6 homers. .317 batting average. 11-8 Cardinals. It's the 4th game this year between these two teams. The Cubs won in St. Louis 2 out of 3. So this would even it up with 3 to go in this series. Two balls and the strike. Two out, runner on. Playing at home and you make 8 runs and still only for 2 innings did you lead, and then by the margin of 1-0. They tied it in the third, 1-1, and took command. There's a drive. Way back. Might be. It could be. It is. And now it's an 11-10 ball game. Smitty's 7th home run of the year.
Off Lee Smith. That's home run number 6. And that young man caught the ball. He doesn't have to give that one back. And Montgomery Ward donates $200 to Cubs Care, pulling the Cubs within 1 for the blast off the bat of Dwight Smith. So Smith against Smith, the Cubs Smith wins. And for the 6th time, Lee Smith has given up the long ball, and now he only has a 1-run cushion. And watch this one, a fastball, boom. Dwight got his arms out and took it way back.
All right. Here's Sanchez. The Cubs are trailing 11-10. And they've out-hit the Cardinals 18-17. Doug Jennings congratulating Smitty. Base hit to right field. Sanchez gets his 3rd hit. And here comes Joe Coleman, the pitching coach of the Cardinals. They have nobody warming up. It's Lee Smith against the world.
Vizcaino came very close to hitting the ball out of the ballpark in the 8th inning, but that was from the right side. Now he's hitting from the left side, and he's got 3 hits today.
Sanchez with 3 hits. Vizcaino with 3 hits. Sandberg with 2 hits. Grace with 3 hits. Maldonado with 1. Derek May with 3 hits. Sammy Sosa with 2 home runs, good for 5 RBIs. And then Dwight Smith with a home run with a man on. Still the Cubs are losing 11-10. Vizcaíno. Over the outside corner, a strike call.
Ray Sanchez isn't much of a stolen base threat. Normally you'd think about that in this situation, but Ray only 1 for 1 this year, and he just possesses average speed.
And Pagnazzo with a good throwing arm. Lee Smith came in with a 3-run lead. It's been reduced to 1, but he still gets a save if he can retire the Cubs now before they tie or go ahead. Billy Williams looking on. Outside. 1 ball, 1 strike. The tying run at first. 2 out. Oakland has taken the lead 4-1 over the White Sox at the end of 6. Swung and he fouled it back. Well, there's one thing that must be said. Win or lose, you got to give the Cubs a lot of credit for hanging in there, even when it looks as if they should be badly beaten. They give the opposition a fit. Now they're only trailing by 1. 11-10. Outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. Bottom of the 9th. Cardinals leading 11-10. Big pitch coming up. Vizcaíno, 3 out of 5 with a run batted in. Bouncing foul, he's still alive. Sanchez, a little better than average speed, I'd say. The outfield for the Cardinals straight away.
Outfield has to play a little deeper than normal now because you have to make sure that the ball doesn't go up the gap and score the tying run if you're a Cardinal outfielder.
This ought to do it. There it is, and the ball game is over. Vizcaíno bounces out to Oquendo. And the game is over. 2 runs on 3 hits, no errors, and 1 left. The Cubs wind up with 19 hits, 10 runs, but 1 run too few. 11-10.
Well, unfortunately, Harry, when you look at those totals and realize 21 runs scored, 36 hits between the 2 clubs, and the Cubs out-hit the Cardinals, it just points up that you can't go anywhere without a pitching staff, and the Cubs find themselves once again under the 500 mark. They were not able to cool off a very hot Cardinal offense. Despite the fact that their offense was tuned up today, they come up a run short.
Well, everybody that was used today, and it looks like the three guys we can depend on in this kind of a ball game would be Scanlon, Ossenmacher, and Randy Myers. And you have to have a chance to protect the lead in the 8th and 9th inning to have a chance to win the ball game. Today it wasn't to be that way because the Cubs were fighting uphill all the way. Other than leading 1-0 for 2 innings, they were tied 1-1 at the end of 3, and then they kept trying to catch them after the Cardinals got 4 in the 4th. And each time Sammy Sosa would hit a homer to pull the club within 2, the Cardinals come back and make more.
And another factor here, you talked about those three pitchers, Ossenmacher, Scanlon, and Myers. They were in 3 games in a row, and you can't continue to use those guys over and over. They needed the day off today. They did get the day off today, but unfortunately, as you see, a career day by Ozzie Smith is enough for the Cardinals to beat the Cubs. 5 hits, 6 runs driven in. Lee Smith, although hit for his 6th home run given up this year, still picks up a save, and he is fortunate to have a 3-run cushion going into the 9th inning.
Well, I don't know who the Budweiser star of the day is going to be, but my guess has got to be that guy sitting to Lee Smith's left. 38-year-old Ozzie Smith, shortstop par excellence. 5 out of 5 today with 6 runs batted in. We'll be back now in a moment.
In this throwaway, disposable world, it's nice to find things that last. Relationships, neighborhoods, and the businesses in them. Like your neighborhood 76 station. For years, folks have relied on 76 for quality gasolines to help keep their engines clean and running smooth. Nothing lasts forever, but we think a long, long time would be nice. 76. Go with the spirit.
There are a lot of reasons people walk into my True Value store. Sometimes it's convenience. We're right in the neighborhood. Sometimes they want advice, and sometimes they're bargain hunting, looking for true values.
Like the Ortho Cleanup Bonus Pack. 2 sizes, just $9.99. The 36-inch by 50-foot roll of Gilbert and Bennett Diamond Guard fencing is just $19.99. And their fence posts start at just $1.59 each.
You know, the name says it all. True Value.
We've changed our aisles. We've changed our styles. We've changed our lines. We've changed our signs. We've changed displays and we've changed our ways. Yeah, things are changing at Montgomery Ward. Things are changing at Montgomery Ward.
Well, the Budweiser play of the day happened in the 5th inning with 2 out and the bases loaded. Veteran Ozzie Smith hit this line drive in the deep left center, driving in all 3 runs. And that gave the St. Louis Cardinals a cushion of a lead that it turned out they badly needed before they eventually won this ball game by the score of 11-10. The Budweiser play of the game, Ozzie Smith's second double, coming with the bases loaded, driving in all 3 runs. Boy, what a long ball game, and what an exciting ball game, and it proves it isn't the artistic fineness of a well-played ball game that's as exciting as the hitting and running and sliding and banging away of a lot of runs being scored that gives the fans the biggest thrill.
Well, it took 3 hours and 9 minutes here at Wrigley Field today, and with the wind blowing out, you had a feeling it would be a high-scoring affair, and it was just that. It was a kind of a game that pitchers hate because the ERAs go through the roof, but a kind of a game that the fans love because you see everything in a game like today. You see a lot of doubles, a lot of runs driven in, some balls go out of the ballpark. Unfortunately, in the end, 21 runs later, the Cubs come out on the short end, and a lot of pitchers, Harry, will see bigger ERAs in the paper tomorrow.
Well, I tell you, Lee Smith will be very proud. He's tied now with Randy Myers, but I don't imagine he'll ride home and talk about the accomplishment. He told me his family's here with him here in Chicago, but it is a 21 save for Lee Smith, and he's tied now with Randy Myers of the Chicago Cubs.
I think it points up one of the general weaknesses around baseball, and that weakness is middle relief.
Oh, yeah.
More times than not, Harry, you have the good stopper. Every team has that, or most teams. What you do is you have some problems in the middle. You might have a couple of 3 good starters, perhaps, and middle relievers have some problems. And I think one of the reasons why, Harry, is that it seems to be the only position on the whole field that's built on failure. Your middle relief pitchers are guys that are failed starters and failed stoppers. And sometimes guys in middle relief don't get a lot of credit for what they do. It seems like the Cubs certainly have some problems, but they're not the Lone Ranger in that department. So when a game starts getting out of hand early, you go to the bullpen looking for somebody to stop the opposition. He's not there because the couple of guys you depend on as the leading save man or the guy to get him to it aren't guys you use in a game like today.
Well, today proves that while for a couple of days against the Marlins, the Cubs have some success winning 3 games in a row, that you can't lose all of your starting pitching rotation with the exception of 1 and not be hurt.
Well, there's no doubt that the injuries have hurt the Cubs. They're bringing up guys from their AAA team, the AAA team that did pretty well at Iowa, but still they're AAA pitchers. And Turk Wendell, who started this one, is quite a character, but today he just didn't have it, getting knocked out in the 4th inning. He came up with an ERA that was 4.5 at AAA. And today, Harry, I think he learned something in his Major League debut, and that was you have to change speeds to win in the Major Leagues. He didn't change speeds, and certainly the Cardinals hurt him today.
I'm wondering if we could get a further report on Chuck McElroy. But speaking of changing speeds, it seemed to me that that's the thing McElroy has to do too, because every pitch he throws seems to be about the same speed. He has an assortment of pitches like a fastball, a slider, and a curveball, but they're all apparently being thrown about the same speed.
Well, we certainly hope that Chuck McElroy is doing a whole lot better, and today Chuck did not have a good day, and I think the report that we got, Harry, was he was at Northwestern Memorial Hospital suffering from possible, and I stress possible, heat stroke. We really don't know yet. There is no update on that, and if he's looking on, if he's feeling a lot better right now, we wish him well and a speedy return to the ball club.
Arnie's trying to find something out. He's at the hospital now, and perhaps they could give some kind of report. I know a lot of his friends and family are listening in, and certainly if we can find out, we would like to be able to present it on the telecast right now. How about this Jose Vizcaino? It's amazing, isn't it? The way his hitting continues to stand up, and he hits the ball hard almost every time up.
What's probably amazing most about Jose Vizcaino is the fact that he probably wasn't going to get an opportunity to play all that much this year. He was in a race in spring training with Sean Dunston down to see who would take the shortstop spot. And quite frankly, Ray Sanchez might be a little better defensively. But Jose got a chance to play second base because Ryan Sandberg went down also, and he started hitting the baseball. He hasn't stopped. And now Steve Buechele is down on the disabled list, giving an opportunity for both Sanchez and Vizcaino to play. And Harry, they've proven that the Cubs now have 2 very good shortstops who are active. 1 good shortstop on the disabled list in Sean Dunston. But both of the shortstops hitting over 300. Vizcaino, the big story this year because he's been in the top 10 in hitting all year. But Ray Sanchez today with 3 hits put him over the 300 mark. So both of these guys hitting the baseball as well as you could possibly hit it. Both of them playing very good defense, and both of them helping this team. But I think we saw today, Harry, that the Cubs are going to stay around the 500 mark until they address the pitching situation. And right now, with the decimated starting rotation, that's going to be a difficult thing to do.
All right, here are the totals now. For the victorious St. Louis Cardinals, 11 runs, 17 hits, no errors. The winning pitcher was Real Cormier. He now has a record of 4-3. For the Cubs, 10 runs, 19 hits, no errors. And the loser is, let's see, who is the loser? And that's the rookie, Turk Wendell, who now is his record 0-1. And the big play, perhaps, the whole day was that of veteran shortstop Ozzie Smith, who had 5 out of 5, and his 6th time up hit a long line drive that was caught for a sacrifice fly, a run scoring on that, making his 6th RBI of the afternoon. Well, speaking for Steve Stone and Tom Brenneman, Harry Carey from Wrigley Field, repeating the final score in the thriller, the Cardinals beat the Cubs 11-10. So long, everybody. The producer-director of Cubs baseball is Arnie Harris. The coordinating producer is Bill Borson. Our associate producer is Joe Corneo. Next telecast tomorrow on Channel 9. Our next telecast will be tomorrow on Channel 9 as the Cardinals play the Chicago Cubs. That's a 2 o'clock leadoff man, 2:20 game time. Stay tuned now. Steve will have the 10th inning show coming up in a moment. Harry Carey from Wrigley Field. So long, everybody.
Chicago Cubs baseball on Channel 9. The Cubs are brought to you by Budweiser, the king of beers, who remind you friends know when to say when. True Value Hardware Stores. Got a tough job to do? You can do it with True Value Hardware Stores. Buick and your local Buick dealers. Remember Buick, the new symbol for quality in America. And by the Chicago Tribune, Chicagoland's choice for sports, daily and Sunday.
Not many things are more Chicago than United, but there are a few. United Airlines, proud to be Chicago's hometown airline. Come fly the airline that's uniting the world. Come fly the friendly skies.
Did you like Ray Stevens' last video?
Yeah, I did.
Well, here he comes again.
That burns.
With a brand new video. Ray Stevens Live. 11 great songs, including Guitar Zan. Ahab the Arab. Shriners Convention. I saw Elvis in a UFO.
Saw Elvis in a UFO.
Misty.
Look at me.
That musical funny man is loose again. This time live on stage for almost 1 full hour of new zany family entertainment. Here's how to order.
For rush delivery, have your credit card ready and call 1-800-637-1122 or send $19.98 plus $4.50 shipping to Ray Stevens Live, P.O. Box 7008, Department 7, Tarzana, California. Or call now 1-800-637-1122.
They don't play kick the can like you used to. They don't dress the same way. They learned to read 3 years before you did. They've never owned a record. So why are you taking pictures of them with the same old film? Try Fujicolor Super G film. Because your pictures should be nostalgic. Your film should.
Zillions of bucks, 4 crazy killers, 1 dangerous romance into the night. Tonight at 11:30 on Channel 9.
The 10th inning is brought to you in part by your local Chrysler Plymouth dealer.
Welcome to the 10th inning. Well, this was an exciting game for the fans. Not too exciting about the pitchers, not too exciting about the outcome if you're a Cub fan, but certainly in between all the action and everything else, it was quite a ball game. The highlights are going to be pretty interesting. We'll take a look at those in a minute, but right now we have to be concerned about the health of Chuck McElroy. I think that was the biggest thing to come out of this game, and if you weren't with us before, he was taken to Northwestern Memorial Hospital suffering from a possible heat stroke. We don't have any update yet. As soon as we find out something, if we do, we will let you know, and we'll get back to that in a minute. But for the moment, the Cubs were defeated 11-10 in one of those days at Wrigley Field. Very warm, very windy, the wind blowing out, and a lot of excitement. And we'll get to the highlights after these messages.
When you're thirsty, you need a diet squirt. Because there's nothing like our refreshing blend of citrus flavors. Give your thirst a diet squirt.
Duty, honor, country. One of America's greatest military minds.
I will not be the leader of another lost cause.
Gregory Peck, MacArthur. Friday night at 7.
Hey kid, how about a float?
There's nothing like the authentic Frosty Mug taste of an A&W root beer float. One taste and it will really bring back memories. Dad? A&W, our Frosty Mug taste brings you back.
Ooh, what's this? She sees my V6. Oh, buy me, please buy me. Oh, she likes my spoiler, my low-profile tires, sports suspension. She wants me. Uh-oh, she thinks I'm too expensive. I can fix that.
Perfect.
Ow!
Duster, a lot to love for around $10,000 from Chrysler Plymouth.
I'm so happy.
My boyfriend will love it.
I'm so unhappy.
Not many things are more Chicago than United, but there are a few. United, proud to fly more Chicagoans than any other airline. Come fly Chicago's hometown airline. Come fly the friendly skies.
In the first inning, a strikeout of Ray Langford propels Turk Wendell to do a high kick, a big jump. He's a happy man, but all too quickly he was jumping in the showers. And Rhino takes the ball back up the middle, and the Cubs go on top. Good throw by Ray Langford, not quite good enough, and Rhino drives in his 22nd run of the year. Vizcaino safe at the plate. Greg Jeffries ties it up against Turk Wendell. This coming in the third inning, driving the ball into left field. Jeffries only had 1 hit today, but he drives in his 36th run of the year, and it's 1-1. The Cardinals take the lead. Off the bat of Tom Pagnazzi, this one just over the outstretched glove of Mark Grace. Pagnazzi had 3 hits, driving in his 8th run of the year, and the Cardinals go on top. Ozzie Smith with a career day, 5 hits, 6 runs driven in, and here he drives the ball into left center field. This one splits the outfielders. A couple of runs scored, and it's now a 4-1 game. Cardinals think they're going to pull away in this one, but it got a lot tighter as the game went along. Ray Langford makes it 5-1. as he comes up against Chuck McElroy, taking it right back through the middle. Langford now has driven in 28 runs this year, as it was an RBI and base hit extravaganza from both sides of the field. Sammy Sosa had a big day. 2 home runs, 5 driven in. He makes it 5-3, taking this way back. Sammy's home run coming in the 4th inning. That was his 10th of the year. But unfortunately, Ozzie Smith hits once every 9 times, and he makes it 8-3 in the 5th inning. Ozzie with a 3-run double. He doubled 3 times in a row, this driving in 3 runs as Sammy has some problems. It clears the bases, and it's now an 8-3 game. But Sammy Sosa gets a chance to hit again. Riel Cormier on the mound, and Sammy goes downtown in the 6th inning, a 3-run shot. Sammy with 2 home runs, the 5 driven in, tying his career high, the 4th time he's had a 2-homer game, and Sammy taking the long and very slow home run trot. Bernard Gilkey steps up, and he goes way back against Plesac, this coming in the 7th inning. That's his 3rd. He's driven in 21, and it's now a 10-6 game. And still it wasn't enough. Jose Vizcaino comes up to bat. He almost drives it out of the ballpark, making it 10-7. This one hitting high off the wall. Jose had 3 hits. He drove home his 20th run of the year. Ray Sanchez, who also had 3 hits today, scoring. And it's a 3-run deficit. And Mark Grace makes it 10-8 against Mike Perez. He taps his ball to the right side. Jeffries only has 1 play. He makes it at first base, and Grace now is driven in 48. And Ozzie Smith one more time. Takes a long fly ball to right field, this coming in the 9th inning, making it 11-8. And a 3-run lead that looked very comfortable with Lee Smith coming into the game in the 9th inning in search of save number 21. But Dwight Smith comes up in a classic Smith-on-Smith battle. Dwight Smith wins it, takes him downtown, making it 11-10. Unfortunately, that's as close as the Cubs could get. And Lee Smith chalks up save number 21. So stay with us. We'll be back with a final word after these messages.
Ooh, what's this? She sees my V6. Oh, buy me, please buy me. Ooh, she likes my spoiler, my low-profile tires, sports suspension. She wants me. Uh-oh. She thinks I'm too expensive. I can fix that.
Perfect.
Ow!
Duster, a lot to love for around 10,000 from Chrysler Plymouth.
I'm so happy.
My boyfriend will love it.
I'm so unhappy.
At Foot Locker, people ask why haven't they heard more about Asics gels? Well, the Asics athlete who wears them can't be found on a cereal box. And you won't find him on every t-shirt in town. The Asics athlete can only be found in his gels and at Foot Locker. When you're ready for gel, the newest Asics are now at Foot Locker, where it all begins.
What would you do if you won $4 million in Lotto?
Go to a fat farm out in California, get real healthy, come back to Springfield and throw a big party.
I'd open up a nice countryside bed and breakfast.
What if you won $6 million?
I'd have to build a bigger house. Sure, all my kids would come back home.
I'm skydiving right into the Caymans.
In your dreams, whatever they be,
I'd see it all.
Dream a little dream with me.
In the National League, a final, San Francisco defeated Cincinnati in a big series for the Giants. They normally have a June swoon. Not so this year. They're playing good, solid baseball. Later on tonight, New York at Pittsburgh, Dwight Gooden against Bob Walk. It's Florida at Philadelphia, Hammond against Jackson, and San Diego at Houston, Bennis against Kyle, who's having a very good year. As we move along, a final, Detroit defeated Cleveland 9-5. The White Sox losing to Oakland 5-1, that game in the 8th inning. And later on tonight, Minnesota at New York, Deshays and Witt. Also in the American League, Boston at Toronto, Quantrell against Leiter, and Texas at California, Rogers against former Cub Scott Sanderson, who's having a pretty good year. So an exciting game today, and tomorrow the leadoff man will begin at 2 o'clock, and then once again the Cubs take on the Cardinals with a starting time at 2:20. Tomorrow should be interesting. Maybe the wind will be blowing out again, and maybe the Cubs will be able to beat the Cardinals as Rene Arocha going to the mound with a 5-1 record and a fine ERA against Sean Bosky, who is 6-1 in AAA. So we'll see you tomorrow at 2 o'clock, and so long, everybody.
Guests on the 10th inning will receive a handsome Fendi wristwatch from Henry K. Jewelers, 547 North Michigan Avenue, or the third-level Water Tower Place. The 10th inning was brought to you in part by your local Chrysler Plymouth dealer.